rock and roll star. Hey, it's Friday with the Bennington Show. I'm Ron Bennington. There's Gail Bennington.
Yo.
I'm Ron Bennington. Some of you know me better as Oasis. That's my nickname.
That's
for myself.
you?
Yeah. That's all my music. And I kind of feel like the Who ripped me off. So, who's next? Oasis. That's just next. That's Vito's favorite band. Outside, of course, Jersey Springsteen.
Yeah.
Sure. But I do know that he loves Oasis very much.
Saddest day of my life when I found out I wasn't going to that concert that I bought tickets to.
You know, I was thinking of you the other day with Springsteen because Flathead sent me a thing of when Springsteen played the first time everybody in my neighborhood went to see him. And it was right, I guess, I'm trying to figure out when his third album came out, but it was before the third album, but he was playing songs up there. How much do you think tickets were for a rock show then?
I don't know, it's like $15 or something? $10?
$6 to see Bruce Springsteen.
Wow. I thought I was going really low just now.
And there wasn't, it's like most things haven't gone up that much. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's preposterous.
But tickets now that are thousands of dollars seems crazy. And it is. Like you could always go like, I was just going to go to StubHub and get 2 tickets for $1,000. No matter who it is.
Yeah, and that's
because a cover band for $1,000.
The thing that really stinks is that you're like, I want to see this band, but do I want to see them like $300? Want to see them? And usually it's
you know what? I just went through that with Van Morrison like years ago, and I'm like, I'm not fucking paying $700 for 2 tickets. And now I'm like, man, but he's never been back around. I should have done that.
I know.
You know what I mean?
That's the problem.
But I just got pissed off at the time.
Yeah.
I just dropped $300 for tickets in September. See Childish Gambino. I have floor seats.
What's he doing?
I don't pay rent, so it's all fine.
That's why you can't.
Yes.
Like, if you saved your money, you have a nice full-time job, maybe you could pay rent.
But now I'm seeing Childish Gambino on the floor.
Right, but he might end up going for a week at the Creek, for all you know, for free.
Oh, don't tell me that.
Yes. I was going to say it later.
No.
You went 300 a piece?
300 a piece, yeah. I'm going with 2 other friends.
So $1,000.
Yeah, $1,000 total.
Do you know how much blow you guys could have got for $1,000?
At least $1,000 worth.
Yes, exactly. Exactly that much. Coming up a little later on, it's Jost and Che and Jost, your weekend update, guys. That's at 2:00 today.
Okay, so I want you guys to check something out because someone sent me this video.
Why won't you say their name?
Oh, it's like a private friend. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like somebody.
I understand.
I don't want to talk about who it is exactly. Look, don't worry about this. What I want you guys to do is to judge this circumstance.
Okay.
This is a video in which 2 parties have 2 opposing ideas. Gets very heated. Who is correct in this scenario?
All right, great.
So here we have, play it. You don't need, I mean, you can put the volume below. So basically, this person's looking for a parking space. This chick runs in.
Are you kidding? No way.
You're not even in a car, woman. Are you serious?
No.
Get the fuck out
Get
of my
out
way.
of here. Are you kidding? You're not in a car. Get out.
Where?
She's pointing behind her saying her dad is in a car behind them.
Are you? You're
No,
here
it
first.
doesn't
Are you kidding me?
matter.
You fucking serious right now, woman?
All right, so here's what it is. A person is standing in a parking spot, saving that for somebody. This happens all the time in New York.
Yes.
Where somebody will go out, put a chair in the street, and sit there until their aunt drives over.
So this is a
So they'll be in a public street.
Yes.
Sitting in a chair.
Now, this is a circumstance. This woman is in the parking garage. She runs ahead. She gets into the spot. Now her mom is standing in the spot. She's hitting the top of the car like, you need to move. They don't want to move. They don't want to give this up. This goes on a preposterous amount of time that they're arguing back and forth.
I will also tell you this. Because it's Asian mother and daughter, I would probably be more likely to say, it's not done that way here. You know what I mean? Like, that brought almost out the prejudice to me. Like, two Asian women are saying, no, get out. And banging on my door. I'll be like, no, it's not how it works here.
But right or wrong, would you, I don't know if I would dig as deep as this couple is digging in who is sitting in this car filming this video.
No, I agree with you. I end up would call him an asshole and keep on moving.
Yes,
does anybody feel, because you guys are native New Yorkers, do you feel like you can put a physical person in the street and save a spot?
I've done it before for my ex-girlfriend when driving around New York City streets with we have to move the cars in the morning.
Yes.
She didn't want to move her car in the morning. And so I had to sit in a spot waiting for her to get back home. And
physically sit there in a spot.
How long were you staying in this spot? Are we talking 5 minutes or are we talking a half hour?
15 minutes waiting for her to fucking get home from where, I think it was like Long Island or whatever. She's like, please find a spot. It's late. And it was like 2 a.m. or something. I'm like, first, I didn't want to do it, but I did it. And I had to be like, nah, man, someone's coming right back. Like multiple people obviously looking for parking.
And do you feel like you were in the right, or you did it because your girlfriend made you?
I did because my girlfriend made me.
Did you feel wrong?
I felt like a dick because all those other people are also circling the block,
and they're neighbors of yours.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean, you got to live together. Now, I never heard this before in Boston, right? And it might have just been in this one neighborhood, but they claim that if you dug yourself out of the snow, right, that was your spot.
That's great.
And you could come back in that spot. If somebody was in your spot, they'd start going crazy.
Do you need a marker to physically hold your?
No, they just need the open spot in the snow.
If there's an open spot, that goes to the person who dug.
Again?
I understand why you would want it.
Yeah.
I mean, you worked hard to get yourself out of that. It feels like you own that spot at that point.
I saw when I was a little kid, and we sold the row house to my aunt and uncle, and then I went back there all the time in the city of Chester. And I was like sleeping one night, and my uncle came home, and somebody was in his spot, and I hear this clanging, and I look out the window, and I see him beating a car with a fucking trash can, right? You know, and one of those fucking hot summer, non-air conditioned nights, and I just looked out. I'm like, God, man, I'm fucking a crazy family. Slamming a fucking trash can down in somebody's car, which would have been a neighbor's car, not a, you know what I mean? Somebody that he would see every day. Anybody besides Chris think you could sit in the street like that?
I got forced to do it as a kid. Because the idea was if a kid does it, nobody's going to get mad.
That's not true.
People are just as mean to a little kid.
I'd rather move a little kid out than a grown man. I'm going to tell you that right now.
I remember somebody came up and was like, "Move, you little fat ass," to me.
That is so mean.
All I can think of is how fat was your ass?
I was really fat. I was a fat little kid. And they're just move, little fat ass. And I was like, no, my parents are coming.
You would not give in, right?
No, especially after I got called a fat ass. I was like, yeah, I'm holding this spot
What
down.
if they would have said narrow ass? Move your narrow ass.
If they
But
said,
you went giggling and running?
hey, young and beautiful, move out the way. I would have moved out the way for them.
All right, Jen, you're in Jersey. all right?
You're an actual driver as opposed to Chris and Vito, not just the spot holder.
Exactly. Yeah. So I've been the driver, and then I've told because it happened Black Friday. You can never get a spot at the mall in Jersey. So I told my mom to get out
It's terrible.
and stand in there. And then she told, and I come back around because it's annoying trying to even find spots. So then I come back around and my mom is just like, yep, we lost it. And I'm like, no. You should have stood your ground.
So you're that.
Yeah, I would have told her to just act just like those Asian ladies. Yep, you could go.
Wow, I'm shocked. I can't, I wonder what the law would do. The law would say it's for a physical car, not for a person.
I understand, but here's the thing. Okay, I'm thinking of it as the perspective. What would it be like to be both parties? If I'm in the car, I immediately are going, these people have dug too deep. I mean, this video is like 13 minutes long of them screaming at these people and telling them to get out. At that point, I would go, I can't believe these nuts just
How does it
stood
end?
They eventually pull out and they're furious.
And they gave up 13 minutes of their life.
They gave up all. Which, how many spots could they have found in the meantime?
None.
Parking garage.
Not town.
But I have done it on the street. However, if I'm thinking, if we're driving around, me and my man are in the car, and he says, "Oh my God, there's a parking spot on the other side. Can you run out and go stand in there?" I'd be like, "Fuck you! I'm
Yeah, I
not
wouuld do
doing
it
that shit." While somebody screams and
I wasn't
beeps at
some
me.
head and pecked fucking cock the way Chris
I'm
Stanley
not
was.
some little fat ass. You just said. But I kind of just feel like I respect game when I see game, and I feel like they pulled a good game. Like they were like, no, they got their whole Asian family started to come out.
Asians don't have any problem fighting to the death.
No.
You know what I mean?
They really
will
don't.
dig in over anything. Asians are the only people who will chase blacks over change in a fucking bodega. They are fucking hardcore.
They're running their own rules, and I'm
Yeah.
saying that like. I'm not talking about like, oh, you have an Asian American friend. I'm saying like we live in New York City and we live with people who are
No,
like
real
new
Asians.
to this country. So
Yeah.
we're talking about people, and they're on a different set of rules. They have a total different idea about spatial awareness.
Yes.
And they have different rules and norms about eating on the subway.
Don't eat a parrot on the subway.
I mean, like I've seen an Asian woman eat soup with like chopsticks, slurp it, and I'm like, that's not an easy. You know what I mean? Like,
Ew.
you take out a piece
Why
of
is it
candy
no?
or something.
Subway?
Yeah.
Fuck that.
Anything on the
Open
subway is
container,
yeah.
slurping like little like.
They slurp their noodles, don't they? They
Yeah.
don't never fucking wrap up a noodle or cut it.
I
they
believe
just slurp.
it's in Japan. Maybe it's not China, but in Japan, it's like a sign of like you love it. If you're like, why aren't you slurping? You didn't like my soup? Like, to slurp it means, oh, we're having a great soup
You know what?
experience. So you're supposed to slurp.
I don't need anybody to tell me how much they love the soup I just made.
I don't hear you slurping over there.
I love this soup. Whatever, it's just fucking soup.
That's like those irritating people who like you're literally eating their food and they're like, you don't like it? And you're like, I am putting it in my
God.
mouth. I'm sorry I didn't like pay you enough compliment as I was eating.
I say I'm just more disgusted by your home. You know who makes you say that they like that you like the food is when dads cook.
They do.
My
yeah.
dad did it, and then I did it.
Yep. Yeah.
And I'd be like, "You like that?" And I just fucking want to talk about it. And then when my chick cooked, I'd be like, "Whatever, we're fucking."
Yeah. Even
Yeah.
if it's great, we're all
Could
just
be
like eating
fantastic,
it. And
yeah.
we're just like, oh, nourishment.
Yeah, a man cooks. He likes to see that. I made my famous snowman pancakes. So fucking annoying, and stupid, and empty, and wanting just constant praise.
Well, they stand there and go, "I'm a pretty good dad. I am a pretty good dad. I just made a whole meal."
good dad. I made food for my child.
Italians make each other point it out at like meals. Like I remember every Christmas they'd be like, "Didn't Aunt Nancy do a great job with the lasagna?"
Yeah, they say that until
Oh,
after
yeah.
Aunt Nancy leaves.
Yeah, that is true. That's
Yeah.
weird. And like my Italian side does that. My boyfriend's Italian side does that where they're like, and don't you love this? Like they're saying you need to pay more compliment. And then they'll also be like, they'll keep it going and they'll be like, Gail couldn't stop talking about your coffee cake. And there's like, because I was forced.
Right.
I mean, I just wanted to say thank you for this coffee cake. It was good. But
You
I
loved
didn't want, I thought
I'm
we
going to
could
get you
stop.
some more coffee cake next time
Oh,
we
we
see
could
you.
stop.
I'm going to give you 50 pounds of coffee cake. But you ever see Italians go like this after it's too much pepper? They always have, they think the spices are wrong all the time.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's a fucking sauce. They're on sauce is on every pizza. Why are we still talking about it?
Yeah, my one aunt was like, "This was good, but a little too much ricotta. A little too much ricotta, but
Good
it was
for
good.
her.
Good other than that."
Did she
Relatives
call it
will find
ricotta or
something
did she say we're good?
She said we're good.
It's so dumb.
Annoying.
Yeah, we're
It's
not
really
in
the
Italy,
worst.
okay?
But they don't say that in Italy. They would never say that. They say ricotta. That's what they say in Italy. Like the whole thing got bastardized because with their accent, like when they say like the sound, there's like a little sound of a G. So it's like ricotta. So then they're just like rigut. And that's what the bastardized version became.
You know why?
Rigut.
Because once they move over here and they live in Staten Island, they get too fat. You never go to Italy and see a fat person.
No.
And you never see anyone thin in fucking Staten Island.
When I was in Italy, the cops were so fit. It was like fucking Baywatch. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it didn't make any sense. They were young and attractive and really fit. It was weird. Like, I'm comparing that to, like, my experience with, like, NYPD, and it's crazy.
When they get here, right, they gain 600 pounds, they start wearing velour tracksuits, and then they shoot their cousin in the back of the head because they got a phone call telling them that his time was up. I had to do what I had to do. I had to take out my brother, my aunt, my mom. I got the call from Uncle Paul. I don't know. Maybe it's honor to you. I don't know. I don't want to, attack your background.
That is your culture.
I know you're very fucking proud of being Italian.
I'm
right?
a very proud Italian. I go to San Gennaro every year.
Oh, Jesus Christ. That's the cheesiest thing you could do.
That's our main thing. That's our gathering. We go every year. We buy cannolis.
Yep. You ever been to San Gennaro?
I have, yeah, but
It's one fucking block.
yeah, it's very
It's tight. It's so tight, and then there's a Ferris wheel in the middle of it.
like very much shoehorned in. Like there's not enough space
And then
for
there's
said
a saint
Ferris wheel.
that they fucking pin money to.
We have weird traditions.
What time of year is that? When is that?
September.
happen?
It's always cold, it
Yeah,
seems
it's kind
like.
of chilly.
It's like you'll get lucky sometimes. It'll be like the last nice weekend of the year, but usually
Yeah.
it's just that shitty
There
September.
was Big A and Stalker Patty were sent to San Gennaro for a fucking date one time by One, and the
cute.
videotape was so funny because they were on that little Ferris wheel, and you just would see Big A. He'd be like really happy. You don't want to go down and feel looking scared, and then he would look up and then he would look scared. It's just like a little kid's Ferris wheel. And just the way that you could you want to play poker against Big A because everything is right there. You would know whether it had good cards or bad. Chris, why don't you ever have Big A in? He's like a regular with you, said Dave, right?
Yes, that's his.
Is
I
there
would
a
love to
reason?
see him. I love
believe
him.
it's his security. Is what I was told.
It's
Is there a
security-
reason you don't have him come in here?
I mean, I know I'll reach out to Big A.
But I mean, what is the reason you haven't?
Well, it's hard
You
to
know
get
we
in
love
touch with
him.
him because he doesn't text. He uses an app to text, and it's very confusing. It's the WhatsApp.
That's a popular app. Everybody uses WhatsApp.
Then why is he the only person I've ever known who uses it?
I got WhatsApp on my phone right now.
Yeah,
Vito
Then-
could text him.
then-
Yeah, fucking 40% of the people in this room have this thing.
I just text with the fucking phone. Like a
First
guy
of all,
with a
by
cell
the
phone.
way,
What's that?
you don't
Do
have
I
to
need
worry
that?
about me having it. I have one app, and I'm getting rid of it.
What's
You
it?
know.
Is it like a text thing, or
Yeah.
can you like group chat
It's
it?
a group text. It's everything. It's mainly for international. You know, that's how Jen's friend Boozy was away. So that's how Jen was
Yeah.
reaching out
Well,
to
she
Boozy
lives
for
in
that week.
Dominican Republic, so you could call free and you could text free.
I like the idea of this boozy.
Here's the thing. Chris just hears the name first, but there's Vito, knows everything about her. This is why, right?
Yeah.
This is why all the other people like you. And that's going to hurt you in your producer of the year dreams.
He literally knew not only that she had WhatsApp, who she got it for, and
Yeah.
the name of the friend.
Boozy.
Oh,
Vito, you're such a good friend.
this makes me feel like you'd be good for that thing that we're not allowed to talk about, right? You know?
Yeah.
I'm not allowed to talk about it, but I don't stop thinking about it, Vito.
It's always on the mind.
Believe me when I tell you, you're doing this for me as much as you're doing it for you. For my own personal, I'll be so wrapped up in this. Coming up, 2:00 today. 2:00 today. It's a mess with the weekend update, guys. Jost and Che,
Yay!
and they're just great. We just love those guys. Should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, that was such a
I mean,
great.
it should be. It already happened for me. It was.
You know.
fun.
What are you so worried about?
I don't know. I thought maybe it might happen all over again.
No, it won't. It's going to
Anyway,
be
I
the great one that we already experienced.
I asked them to stand in the street and hold a spot for me, so I hope it all works out. And we're going to do something with you a little later on today, right?
Yeah.
It's what?
I went through who I think are the best weekend update characters of all time from SNL.
Let's not say a word about it because he put the whole thing together, a list. Is it up on the iBag now? Because we won't look.
Yes.
All right, it's already up there. We won't look.
No spoilers.
You know that you said the other person wants to come back. Louis J. Gomez wants to come back too. Chris.
Okay. I will look into that.
What do you mean look into it? What
Why
is
did
that?
you say it in such a sexual way and
said
look at him? But like, can I just show you what he did? Because maybe you weren't looking at his face. He went like this. He went, yeah, I'll look into that.
That's really
It was
uncomfortable.
really
dude.
weird.
I didn't
Like,
realize
the
that was
way
being
you-
that way.
I effed
What
him.
was the Matt Damon movie where he was a stalker of the other fucking guy?
The talented
Jude.
Mr. Ripley.
Yeah.
That's who he is. He's the fucking talented Mr. Stanley.
Never seen it. I'll watch that over the weekend.
Oh my God! See how sexy he says it. First of all, to look into something. If I said to you, "Hey, I want to get Al Pacino on the phone," that you look into. Louis J. Gomez, you just fucking open up the door, yell Louis, and he'll come running. Louis, there's a hot mic somewhere. Get there immediately. No one needs to look into Louis J. Gomez stopping by. I live in the city. There ain't no easy way out. Vito, the fact that you have an ethnic background, if you look at somebody like Chris that has no traditions in his life,
Not one.
didn't even know his ethnic background till he took a DNA test, you know. Which, by the way, I want to get Mike Bichetti on a fucking DNA test after he said the other day he believes that he's Native American because he likes them so much because of Dances with Wolves. I can't even believe that we brought Dances with Wolves up to him because apparently he talks it over with people.
That's crazy. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's really strange. I don't even know how we got there. I guess.
Did he
Yeah,
bring it up?
no, we
No,
were
I
talking
think
about
I
Justin.
said it.
Tree line.
Tree
and
line. I
then-
brought the
Oh,
tree line.
brought it up?
Yeah.
I think we talked about it before then, though.
Yeah,
I
that
really
was so
do.
strange.
Yeah, we did because that's why I brought up Tree Line because of Dances with
Was it
Wolves.
when he brought up where he lived, his street, because he was saying the CU?
Yeah, but
No, that was
after.
later.
I
That
mean,
was
that doesn't, you know, I mean, there's plenty of places here named after the tribes, but not Apache Street, Sioux Street. You know what I mean? That's, there's no reason for that to be in Staten Island, all right? Those are
Yeah,
Western
like-
fucking
yeah,
tribes.
none of those tribes were there. I lived in Seminole, Florida. That's because Seminoles were there.
Yes.
Made sense.
They invented the ferry system.
What are you talking
The
about?
Native Americans invented the ferry system.
What do you mean, a canoe?
Yeah, that's how they got to Manhattan.
Did
every
you think
day.
that was going to get a big laugh?
I thought it
You know,
was. I
Yeah.
really believed in it.
We all just stared at you like, what
It
the
really
hell are you-
sucked.
Doc Brown moment right there.
First of all, when you said the ferry system, Doc Brown's is what kind of seltzer he gets. That's all right, Vito. Don't be hard on yourself. You know, in the early days of Hollywood, a lot of the Native Americans and Westerns were played by Italians. They would just bring Italians out and
Makes
have them play
sense,
it.
yeah. No, not much that different.
Do you think I could play a Native American?
Do that.
I'm the one that ate like the most
Yeah.
poor.
You could be in a movie called Dancing with Hippos. Just fucking mean and made up. There's no reason to say that. There's no reason to say that at all. Just fucking, it's just stupid, Vito. Chris, you had no background, no like, hey.
My parent, like my dad, would tell me that we were Irish, but I mean, I'm some Irish, but I'm also like fucking Lithuanian and German.
You seem more like a Lithuanian than anything to
Yeah.
me, man.
Definitely.
Yeah.
You should be living in little Lithuania,
Like a little Liffy.
which is actually Lithuania. That's how small it is. You ever notice I never hear anybody going, yeah, my people are from Luxembourg. You never hear about the really, really tiny stuff.
No.
No.
Although there's some like little islands like DR is like, really? All you fucking people are here from
How's
there?
that possible?
Puerto Rico. They say that there's more Puerto Ricans in New York City than Puerto Rico.
That's really bizarre.
Yeah. Same is true of the Irish, though. There are more Irish in New York City than live in Ireland. You get over an island, there's still a lot of fucking space. You're like, why did you move? Seems like you didn't fill this place out yet.
You guys got a lot of green.
Yeah. I couldn't believe, like, when I went to Puerto Rico, how much fucking rainforest and shit was.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. I just thought Puerto Rico was going to look like Spanish Harlem, but with a beach. You're like, damn, fucking waterfalls here and shit. Why would anyone leave this?
Yeah. It seems so beautiful there.
It's gorgeous. Although the place that I stayed got wiped out by the hurricane.
Yeah, that's heartbreaking.
Not that I hear anything about that hurricane now. You know, and so much for your fucking liberal media. They're like, they paid attention to it very hard for 5-6 days. Then I'm like, all right, we bashed Trump enough on this. Let's move on. Let's find fucking Stormy Daniels' old fucking strap on and see if we can get some of his DNA off from when she pegged him. I don't know if they said that.
I think that's what they said.
I think a fucking example. You know what I do? I try to make an example out of things. You know, I try to give you a little fucking metaphor that you can deal with, so you can understand.
I'm understanding now.
Half the time I'm talking, Chris, your eyes roll back like you. Like you're completely overwhelmed.
Oh no, it's back.
Lung cancer back?
Probably.
Who's back? Back again.
It's his phlegm. Back again.
It's dark.
Why don't you do this as like a little exercise and tell me if it's a bad idea.
Okay.
I want you to pull Vito around town in a cart.
Ain't gonna happen.
Why not? Just try it one day.
No.
Bet you start to feel better.
I'm not working a rickshaw with fucking Vito at my back.
I'll
I think
whisper.
that's
Rickshaw
racist.
racist?
Yes.
Is it
That goes
really?
without saying.
That's bullshit. Rickshaw ain't racist.
First of all, take that
Chill.
fucking tone down, dude.
Fuck! Why are you fucking yelling at us about it?
Everybody here is your friend.
I wasn't yelling at you. I was just yelling in general of the idea that fucking rickshaw is
There's no
racist.
reason to. Well, the way you call it, rickshaw. You want a rickshaw?
I mean, that's definitely racist, Chris.
All right, I'm going to ask you right now, what do you think is worse, racism or sexism? What do you think is more prevalent in this society, racism or sexism? Gail, let you go first.
I'm gonna say sexism.
Racist. You're a fucking racist.
Because
for
it
saying
happens within the races.
Yeah.
And it happens around the world, no matter if that country has issues with racism or not.
Oh man, did you see that thing that that Latin ball player? It was in the Post the other day. Man, I don't know if I've ever seen someone really like fucking doing domestic abuse, and they caught this on a video. I'm like, I can't even look at this.
I saw a still of the video and I went, I'll just read the article because I was like, I'll take your word for it. It looks really bad.
And here's the thing: they sent him to anger management class, and they let him play ball again. And then when the video came out, they said, "Oh, we got to cut you, dude. I mean, this is fucking bad."
Yeah.
And it doesn't look like you could be slapping a woman around while you're wearing white pants like that. That's the part I'm like, you're dressed like you don't have a care in the world. Like, if you put white pants on, you should be retired or having a Hawaiian wedding, but you can't be that. And the fact that she got pulled into this thing and was just getting a backhand, but you could see like she knew not to fight back.
Yeah.
She was just taking it. Racism or sexism? What's worse?
I was gonna say racism, but after Gail's explanation, maybe sexism because it, coincides with each other.
Interesting. All right. Chris.
Racism, because racism.
Oh, hold on. You just heard what the lady said, right?
Yeah, I heard, yeah.
That's disgusting.
No, racism, because racism affects both men and women.
Okay, but does racism happen within the home, within the same family?
In mixed families, yeah, racism happens.
Why would it be a mixed family?
Why would they mix?
They would be the least racist people who've ever lived. No one's going to marry someone and go, "Look at you, you Asian."
Doesn't make sense what you're saying.
Disgusting.
I like mom, but I hate dad.
Yeah, see, that can happen.
No, every kid should be that way, no matter what. All right, Vito?
I'm going to say sexism because I will never say the N word, but I've said the other one before.
What's the other one? B word? C word?
I felt okay saying that right now, but there's no way you can get me
You
to
never say the N
N-word.
word with your buddies? Because I
No.
know you got a lot of black friends.
Well, like once in a while we have what we call training day night, where
No,
they
why
like
would you?
it where they say it's training day night, and I just say that one line from training day.
You know what? You're almost like you're their special needs buddy.
No,
Yeah.
it's just that's our one thing. But I don't say the N word around them. I don't use it like in.
But you use it around your white friends or something.
No, I don't really have that many white friends.
Have you ever yelled anything sexist at your mom?
No,
You've ever called her a bitch?
no. But I've done the thing where like she closes the door, and I've been like,
We're on the radio.
I throw middle fingers and just go and like mouth "fuck you" at the door after
That kid,
Yeah.
I think that kid's hilarious.
I didn't
And
think-
it's so weird.
Does
I've
it-
seen kids do it to their parents, and I'm like, dude, that's weird.
Hasn't that kid grown up by yet, though? Fuck you.
Yeah, you're whispering. You're not just mouthing it. You're actually going "fuck you."
All right, what's Diane Ladd's daughter's name?
Who?
Diane Ladd. She was on Pretty Little Lies, the tall
Yeah.
one. I've had her on the show before, Chris.
Cheryl Ladd.
Not from Charlie's Angels.
Laura Dern.
Laura Dern. You know who Cheryl Ladd is,
The
right?
model, right?
Yeah, well, in the 70s. never when you were alive.
Okay.
Yeah, she was like she replaced Farrah Fawcett as a Charlie's Angel.
That's it.
By the way, nothing will make me as happy today as him yelling out Cheryl Ladd. So Laura Dern, she was on that last Star Wars. I didn't see it. You guys did, no?
Yeah.
They have shown clips of when she was shooting her gun that she was going pew 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 pew. I think it was in the post, and they'd shown that you see her lips is going to. You're a fucking professional actor out about 30 some years.
Laura, we're gonna have to do this take again. You're mouthing pew as you shoot.
Well,
we can see you in this shot.
Yeah, to let people know that the gun is shooting. All right, make it as big as you can, Chris. Before you do that, can you make it bigger?
I don't think I can make it
Yes.
bigger.
Yeah.
It looks like a GIF.
All you have
No,
to do is hit the
yeah,
fucking
you have
thing.
to hit the.
You're not going to be able to see her lips. Hit where you're getting the thing off of.
Hold control and scroll.
Oh shit!
Oh
Hold
shit!
CTRL and fucking scroll in.
Oh, look, it's not any bigger, dick, because it's a GIF.
Oh, he did! He was right. You're wrong.
Right
It's
click,
your
open in your window, control and scroll.
You scroll past it. You're scrolling down.
Ah,
Bullshit.
just hit it.
Just hit it.
Now
then.
watch your mouth. Pew pew pew. Did you guys even know she was in that movie?
Hilarious.
You didn't
Yeah.
know that was her?
I
What, are
didn't,
you
I didn't
kidding?
watch it.
I knew she was in it.
I thought you did see it.
This is the last Jedi.
No, he
No.
read. He just read. He just read.
I read the
Oh my God,
Wikipedia and
it's
thought,
so
"Oh, there's
weird."
no way I'll ever watch this fucking movie.
Well, you
What
made
about
the
when
right
it comes
choice.
out on regular TV?
I don't want to. I mean,
Why does it make
I
me
read what
so
happened,
sad?
If I
but
make him, he'll just go like this. Fuck you. I had my best.
Pew pew pew.
But apparently that in the prequels that Ewan McGregor
Sequel.
the prequels, Ewan McGregor and the other guy would fucking while they're doing the lightsaber battles would go
Qui-Gon
wow.
This is how childish it is to be in those movies.
And they had to be like, stop it.
And then,
And then if,
and then Darth Maul comes in. He's like, doo 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 doo.
and then if you get hit, you're like, I'm fixing my arm. Or yell out, I'm a new guy.
I have a shield.
We're playing Cowboys and Indians. You can't have a shield right now. All right, coming up in 2 o'clock, I guess, we'll have the Unmasked with Colin Jost and Michael Che. And Vito, you're doing something on the best side characters of all time.
And it will be on the iBang. It's
All
on
right,
the
we're
iBang
going
now.
to quickly play this game. Best SNL cast ever. Okay? You can even pick a year if you want to. Chris.
Sandler Farley cast.
Morgan Farrell.
I was thinking like Mike Myers, Dana Carvey, but that might flow into Chris's because
No,
we're like,
yeah, yours was the meat of it. You know, there's always flow, but you know when it was with Myers and Carvey, those other guys were like, yeah, I hope they get on here one day. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like they go from even Will Ferrell probably got more to do than most people when he started. I think
Yeah.
he had a pretty he had a pretty savior year, but most of the time, like even when Myers started, he was like, well, I got in one sketch this week or two, you know. And by the way, you're all wrong. Bill Murray, John Belushi, Gilda Radner. You're not going to get better than the Beatles, guys. Okay? You're not going to get better than the Beatles.
It's funny because like my first cast that I can remember watching live would be like the Phil Hartman, Jan Hooks kind of era.
Oh, yeah.
But then as I still think my favorite cast is just as I got a little bit older, but I was still like little watching
Phil
that.
Hartman was perfect for that show.
Yeah.
I mean, he could play. I mean, I kind of feel like they said that, like, oh, they were always looking for a Dan Aykroyd, and that's who Phil Hartman would have. I think after Phil Hartman, you're like, we need a Phil Hartman on this show.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We need a guy who can just play any white guy that we possibly come around. You know what I mean? If it's a white guy, he can play it. All right. Back in just a few moments, Bennington.
This is Bennington on Raw Dog 99, Sirius XM's Comedy Club.
Ring's mission is to make neighborhoods safer. Today, over 1 million people use the amazing Ring video doorbell to help protect their homes. Ring knows home security begins at the front door, but it doesn't end there.
So now they're extending that same level of security to the rest of your home with the Ring Floodlight Cam. Just like Ring's amazing doorbell, Floodlight Cam is a motion-activated camera and floodlight that connects right to your phone with HD video, two-way audio that lets you know the moment anyone steps on your property.
See and speak to visitors, even set off an alarm right from your phone with Ring's Floodlight Cam. When things go bump in the night, you'll immediately know what it is. Whether you're home or away, the Ring Floodlight Cam helps you keep your eye on your home from anywhere.
Ring Floodlight offers the ultimate in-home security with high visibility floodlights and a powerful HD camera that puts security in your hands. With Ring, you're always home. Save up to $150 off a Ring of Security kit when you go to ring.com/comedy, ring.com/comedy. That's ring.com/comedy.
Happy Friday, everybody. Congratulations, you just made it to Friday. Remind people that Tammy Pescatelli is doing a special tonight, not in some big theater, but she's going to be at her old high school. That's the Perry High School in Perry, Ohio. Go to pescatelli.com for tickets. Very, very excited for Tammy.
Yay, Tammy. We love you, Tammy. No, we won't go.
We won't go. Coming up in, is it an hour, Chris? We're going to be playing our Unmasked.
Yes, with Michael Che and Colin Jost. Weekend update from SNL.
Why are you doing that, dude? Seriously, why are you acting like we don't know you?
I when I was in the middle of it, I realized, why the fuck am I talking like that?
And Colin Jost from SNL.
Weekend update, SNL. If you look for your fire exits,
Tell them what they won, Chris.
oh,
Motherfucker.
oh shit, oh shit! I did not expect that. Oh man, how long have I known you, Chris?
11 years.
And today was the first day you came off like a bitch.
Yeah, dude, you just got butt fucked.
How's your butthole feel?
It feels
with
fine.
Vito's dick in it.
Ew, no.
Man, he fucking pegged you.
It's a dark day.
Dark day for your butthole.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Hey, let me ask you something, Vito. How's that ass feel when you're in there banging it like that?
Feels good around my stuff.
My stuff. It's a little cute. I like the way it feels around my stuff. You've had sex before, right, Vito? I
No.
Multiple times.
No, you haven't.
Just double checking.
Jerking off doesn't count, Vito.
Or not as much, but like some.
Don't you like the way your hand feels on your stuff?
That's right. I'm stroking my stuff right now. Both my stuff. Bum. Chris, I'm not fucking used to that, dude.
I was
You're
expecting.
supposed to be, you're supposed to be my fucking wingman.
Yeah.
I am. Trust me.
Not
But I'm
pegged and owned. You know what I mean?
How's my stuff feel, Chris?
I mean, you got so much of Vito's stuff in you.
Fucking stuffed.
He did stuff you, man.
You're like butt stuffed right now.
Did you know that was going to happen?
City limits.
Butt stuff.
I had no idea that shit was coming, Ron.
Oh, and your
that's
ass
what
was coming.
What?
How long did you leave it in?
Oh boy!
I could see if he got the tip in and you started fucking slapping back, but you wait until he was coming. All right. Ooh, well, kind of a little odd here.
Thank you.
I'm looking forward to, well, I'm not looking forward because I actually experienced the Unmasked. With Colin Jost, Michael Che for Weekend Update.
Oh, the SNL.
The old SNL show has been with us now for 42 years.
Coming out at 2 p.m. East.
Yeah, that's 12 o'clock on the coast. Those guys are very fun. You know, it struggled when it started. People were rough on them, but they kept going, and now look at it.
Yeah, they really developed amazing chemistry on that show, and I think really made that segment their own.
All right, here's one thing I was going to ask, because Vito's done a little box on this. But I'm not the biggest fan of when they bring people in. You know, I like when the news is going back and forth with those guys.
You like when it's like actual news topics being parodied.
Yes. Because, like, I watch the news, and at no point do they bring in, like, a crazy person. Now, Chris, what about you? Would you rather straight news, or you like the side people?
I like the news.
Gail?
I like the.
Wait, I went on to Gail. Well, you're the same as me, so there's no reason to move on from it.
I actually,
Gail, what about you?
I like chopping it up with the
chopping it up a little bit.
taking it out, chopping it up, and a little character
Well,
work.
Vito, what was your segment done on?
So these are what I think are the 10 best Weekend Update characters. So these are just characters who mainly appear on Weekend Update.
Okay.
And I ranked them 10 to 1.
Wow, that's weird. Now, what was that about?
I mean, I'm surprised he's going to judge them that harshly.
How is it? Somebody's going to win.
I already made a top 10. Now I'm just fucking giving them numbers, dude.
See, I know you're at a low. Well, take a breather, and then jump back in. Now, are you going all the way back to the earliest days,
All
or
the way back to the 70s.
Wow,
This isn't just. You know, the
All right,
movie.
I haven't seen your list yet. Do you have
Okay.
like an opening for this or anything?
I don't have an opening.
Okay.
We're just going into the list.
All right, so go over to the iBang if you want to do this. I shall not. I'm going to start from the beginning and say you can't do this list without Rosanna Dana.
Rosanna Dana's number 1
Wow.
on the list. I think she's the most iconic and well-known Weekend Update
She
character
is,
of all
yeah.
time.
All time, just because she was probably the first, right?
I mean, yeah, and I just think no matter when you started watching SNL, you know who Rosanna Dana is, and then they brought it back for SNL 40 where Emma Stone played it. Like it's a huge character that everybody knows about.
Now, I'm going to go with the next one then. Same person, Gilda, Emily Litella.
No.
Do you guys even know her?
Yeah, I kind of remember that.
She would
That
be
was
the one,
the-
like, if there was stock car races, she would come on like, this thing about cock bar races is just wrong. And then her thing was when she would get corrected, oh, never mind. And it used to fucking crack me up. I can't tell you how much I was in love with Gilda Radner.
Yes, that second one did not make the list, but Rosanna Dana, she's on there. She's number 1.
Gail, do you have one that you think, and you're on 40 years, so I
Yes.
wonder how many people have done this over the years. You know, you got to be looking at 80, you think, if not more?
Yeah, I think it's got to be somewhere like that. But like, yeah, you're talking about. Well, how many even like anchors have you had?
Well, I think there's been like at least an anchor every 4 or 5 years, so there's got to be 8 to 10 anchors.
And then you got to figure there's always like a good like 5 to 10 like reoccurring characters, whether they hit or not. Like sometimes
Yeah.
they just completely die in the water. But I'm gonna give you my personal favorite,
Right.
Which is not even from my like favorite cast,
Yeah.
but it is, I think, my favorite Weekend Update character, and that is Garth and Kat. Did Garth and Kat make the list?
Garth and Kat are number 3 on my list. They're also one of my favorite recurring characters on Update.
So that is Kristen Wiig and
Fred
Armisen, who play the character where they're like, they're gonna sing a song, but it is sad and it's happening.
First of all, Vito, you were so bad at
You
your
were
part
really bad at it.
that it would. Now,
I looked to you because I was gonna follow you because I'm good at it.
did it make your list?
Yes, it did. They're number 3. The recurring folk characters they play on that show.
I got a problem with this, and I'll tell you.
Yeah.
This is about the 3rd or 4th singing team that's ever done this bit on the show. You know what I mean? Like, there's always a singing team.
Who
and the
else
history of
was the singing team? Like
the two girls were singing. What'd you say,
Will
Chris?
Ferrell and Sherry O'Terry, like the cheerleaders?
No, Will Ferrell
No, that
and
was
Anna
an-
Gasteyer.
He's
Yeah.
in this one, right?
Yeah.
But there's always been that singing thing. But you put it in as number 3?
Yeah, because what they're doing is they're just having fun with it. They're being weird where they don't plan any of it beforehand. Kristen Wiig said herself that, like, it's really fun for them
But
because
everybody does this. It's been done by comedians and improv people.
I
You know
don't
what I
know.
mean?
It's something about that sketch that's just my favorite.
and
Like,
even
I
the
love it.
in-between stuff, like when Seth is like, one more song, and Kristen Wiig's like, no, 500 more. 500 more songs.
Why don't you do a bit where someone goes behind you, puts their arms up, and they have to use your arms while you're talking? This
Less
is
funny.
camp material, guys.
I disagree strongly, and I stand by the list.
Thank you.
I'm going to let Jen decide. Jen?
I think it belongs to the list.
Let me see for sure. Chris, what about you?
I don't believe it belongs on the list.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Oh, God, Chris.
This list
Glad to have you
sucks,
with me,
Rod.
buddy.
This list
Dork.
sucks.
What a
Vito's the
fucking
worst. Why would
nerd.
you put Garth and Cat on
And
there?
this guy is no sycophant.
That's right.
Teacher, more homework.
No.
May I suck your dick, teacher?
Chris, the answer is yes. If that's what you're if that's what you're trying to say, Chris,
Yum.
the answer is 100% yeah. All right, let's have Jen do one.
The next one,
So you're just reading off his paper.
Oh, just guess one. Just guess one. No cheating.
I don't know any of the names. I only started watching SNL this last season.
There's somebody recent on there.
All right, well, let's let Chris go.
Okay, there's a character that I believe is only on once. Will Ferrell played him. It was on the Colin Quinn when he was the anchor. It was called Randy Graves, and he was like a bro, and he kept asking Colin to high five him, and he like talked about like his other bros. And he'd be like,
Who played this?
Will Ferrell.
All right, let's take a look at it. I don't remember it.
Well, Randy Graves didn't make my list because SNL has scrubbed him from the internet.
Why?
You can only find pictures of him. You can't find any videos of Randy Graves anywhere.
I know he brought up like date rape in the actual like in the bit. It was kind of making fun of it, but it wasn't like saying rape is funny. But he brought up date rape.
They brought him in for the Monica Lewinsky scandal, and he starts calling everybody involved in it bitches.
Wow, I don't remember this at all.
Of course, Chris would like this.
But it was ironic. He wasn't actually being serious.
This does not shock me. Does it shock anybody that this would be Chris's
No, it doesn't shock
favorite
me
bit?
at all.
No, I always see Chris wearing an Ohio State crew neck sweater, fucking backwards hats.
I don't wear any of those things.
We've all worn backward hats
I know, I
before.
wear them most of all.
You're
I
like,
know,
look at
I'm
this fucking dude bro over here.
The only thing keeping you from a dude, bro, two things. Us and your own body.
The weight is an issue for a lot of things. Sleep apnea.
Don't bring us down to it.
No, sleep apnea is a fun thing.
Oh my god.
Talking about Randy Graves, Vito. Come on.
All right. I have a new one that I think, even though it's like on the newer side, I think it deserves to be on the list. Kyle Mooney as Bruce Chandling, the stand-up comedian, who just is so terrible.
You know how things going. First of all, I feel like we've met that guy come in and do our show so many times. And you know, let me say this. I think Che gets the harder people to deal with. I think Jost gets the easier ones to deal with than Che gets.
Just like Leslie being
Yeah.
like calling him sexy.
This did make the list, and I think Che has a big part to do with how good this one goes because he just plays like too cool for the guy, and he's like supposed to be somebody that was mentored by Chandling.
All right, let's hear it.
Thanksgiving is next week, and here with his unique take on the holiday is a veteran stand-up comic. You know, he helped me out a lot when I first started out. Please welcome Bruce Chandling.
Oh, hey. Hey.
How are you?
Hey, Michael. Hey, good to be here. Now, where's the food, dude?
Well, Bruce, as you know, Thanksgiving isn't until Thursday.
No, I know. I'm very hungry. But you gotta love Thanksgiving, right? And I love the story of Thanksgiving. You know, pilgrims come to America. They're on this big boat. But it's not an easy journey. They got to deal with the cold weather, cramped quarters, people getting sick, and worst of all, bad satellite reception when they're trying to watch the big game.
I'm sorry, you think that the pilgrims had TV but with bad reception?
Exactly. The start of the show is the big meal, right? Of course, I'm a corn on the cob guy. You heard about this? Yeah. See this? I can't get enough of this stuff. But you know, the Indians, they actually don't call it corn. They call it maize. As in, maize I have a second helping?
Hey, Bruce, man, I don't like that one at all.
Hey, what's the matter, Michael? Too corny?
Hey, man, you're going to have to please stop.
Hey, just 45 minutes left. By the way, you know, thanks for helping out a fellow comic. You know, it really means a lot to me.
I think we're pretty different, actually.
No. Of course, the day after Thanksgiving, they got Black Friday. Heard about this one?
Yeah,
seen this?
I've heard of it.
It's where they get all the deals at the mini mall.
Mall?
Yeah, the mini mall. Now, personally, I think they should change the name from Black Friday to Black and Blue Friday. Because that's how you're going to look if you get between me and the hottest new toy.
Bruce, you're not actually fighting people for toys, are you?
Don't worry, Michael. I ain't. I mean, even if I got the toy, I wouldn't have anyone special to give it to. I always wanted to have a little Bruce, you know. But I can't. Cause my body don't work that way.
Hey, I'm sorry about that, Bruce.
It's probably for the best.
Say that.
I wouldn't even be able to take care of them. Can't get a job. Don't even know how to write cursive.
I don't think you need to know. I think you need to know cursive to get a job.
Problem is, I don't know non-cursive either. Yeah, Bruce, seems like you're having a rough time. You know what? Why don't you come over and celebrate Thanksgiving with me and my family? How about that? I guess you know what they say.
Oh, dude.
Where's the food, dude?
That was the worst one yet. Bruce Chandling, everybody.
Still got 42 minutes left.
You're done.
He's trying to annoy us. He's trying to annoy us.
That's his favorite thing. All of the Kyle Mooney characters
No.
are
Yeah,
meant
they
to
are.
annoy you.
So no to that one, Vito?
No, that one is number 10 on my list. I think I just love the character. Fucking Kyle Mooney's just so good when he plays a weird, awkward dude.
You could play a new character called Vito.
Okay, I'd be okay with that.
I don't know. I can't think of any more. I'm in with Jen now. Like, I can only think of people very much at the beginning and very much at the end. All right, I'm going to give you one. Who was the gay kid that used to go to the clubs?
Stefan.
Stefan. Yeah, that's going to be
Bill
like,
Hader.
It's probably the most famous one.
Stefan is number 2 on my list.
Really?
Yeah, Stefan like is the only character who got like a goodbye special. Like when on Bill Hader's Last Night, they did that like short piece about him leaving the show. But Stefan is fucking hilarious. Just the New York's hottest club is Bliss. And like the reason he breaks during every episode is they used to change the jokes in the cue cards up until the moment he went out there to perform.
So that's why he was breaking all the time?
That's why he's breaking.
A fun little bit of information.
Yeah, they would change it up to the last second, him and John Mulaney. And they came up with the character through a barista they met who used to give them club advice.
I remember a character I loved from my childhood. Cajun Man. Adam Sandler's Cajun Man. Do you remember Cajun Man?
Cajun Man went on to be like his movie character, right?
Yeah, I think he ended up pretty much in...
like, you could do it.
Yeah.
All of yours are so weird, Chris.
Why? What's wrong with Cajun Man?
Well, you know, there used to be another Adam Sandler character based on a guy that used to be up at 57th and 7th, right where I worked, Opera Man.
Yeah, Opera
That was a
Man
real guy.
Was his,
Oh.
like, more famous one for sure.
I didn't know that was a real guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Opera Man made the list, and Cajun Man did not.
Oh, Chris.
Why is Opera Man making over Cajun Man?
Because everyone remembers it.
Yeah, I don't remember. I remember not Billy Madison, but what was he when he was the Cajun Water Boy? He was
Yeah.
Water Boy. I remember Water Boy, but I don't remember Cajun Man.
Yeah, Cajun Man did show up on
occasionally. Right?
Occasionally, yeah.
Occasionally.
I guess not as much as Opera Man.
Yeah, Opera Man was like one of those ones that I just feel like, I don't know, maybe it's just like because I was a kid at the time, but everyone was always like trying to impersonate it and stuff. But that was like pretty much every Adam Sandler thing.
Yeah. All right, give us one that's in there. This thing's running a little rough.
Well, do you remember Drunk Uncle?
This is really just, dragging down now, and I'm kind of...
Yeah, Drunk Uncle was like a pretty popular one.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't go over well, but that got so big that he went on the Sandy Relief concert.
Which died.
Yeah. But that was how big it was.
But it worked well on the show. It just didn't work in Sandy Relief. All right, give us another one.
Do you remember Colin Quinn as Lenny the Lion?
I don't.
No, I do not remember that at all.
So he was a lion from the Bronx Zoo who talked about his problems being a lion and what it was like to be.
What? This is crazy to me.
This is a reoccurring
He did it 3 separate times.
Well, that's plenty. All right, let's take a listen.
Well, with the recent escapes of several bears in the tri-state area, that can't be true, and several animal attacks in the news, I think we just made up the story here. We have brought in someone who can help us shed some light on this outbreak of zoo-related incidents that you see all over the news. From the Bronx Zoo, Lenny the Lion is here. Hey, Lenny.
Thanks, Norm. Norm, I know where those bears ran away. The zoo could be a rough place. My first year, I got in about 50 fights. They had to put me in Supermax like Gotti. They let me out to exercise an hour a day, 2 showers a week. They won't let you make phone calls. I can't make them anyway because they open up all your mail. They throw out your letters. I mean, come on, Norm. I had to find out my brother was killed on the Discovery Channel.
Oh, that doesn't seem right. And yet, the zoo cannot be that bad, though, Lenny.
No, but I had a reputation to uphold. If you're the lion, everybody is going to try you. It's that street mentality. I had it too, but I'm trying to change. I used to think if I was killing an ostrich or something, that was my natural instinct. But I've been discussing it with my counselor. It's not my natural instinct, Norm. It's all about my father. I was just acting out his rage. I know that now. I understand. I mean, one day I just did a kill. I'm standing over a bloody carcass. There's flies everywhere. The vultures are circling. I have blood and bone all over me. I'm roaring. And I just caught my reflection in the watering hole, and I thought, is this how people see me? Is this how I'm coming across? I didn't want to look at myself, so I'd rather just kill you. So now, I don't hang around with other lions. I'll stop by and say hello, but they always start in with, let's kill this one, let's kill that. It's the same conversation we were having 20 years ago. Now I'm trying to change. I'm seeing somebody. She's got a kid by a tiger. The kid don't want to listen to me because I'm not his real father, so we don't get along. I still got a lot of guilt over my teenage daughter from my first mating. She's in an abusive situation, but she don't want to leave. She's with one of these wannabes trying to be a gangster. He ain't hard. I knew his family. He grew up in a game preserve. You know, you're a father, right, Norm?
Yeah, I have a son.
So you know how it is. I want to break this chain of violence that gets passed down through the generations.
Oh, yeah, but it's different for you, Lenny. Lenny, you're the king of the jungle.
If that's how you need to see me, Norm, okay, I'm the king of the jungle. But I don't need to be the king of the jungle for you or the rhinos or the reptiles or some law of nature hype. Being the king of the jungle has gotten all my friends life terms at the zoo or mounted on some rich guy's wall. Today I could just be Lenny, the lion, a part of the jungle. For his murder, thank you.
Lenny the lion.
Never saw that before.
Me either. That was great.
Fucking hilarious.
I love Colin so much.
That bit is fucking so goddamn funny. No, I want to see the other two. He's only done it. This is a good job you've done, Vito.
Yeah, this is beautiful.
Thank you. I love
that
Lenny
game.
the Lion.
That game.
Now, how did you?
Jeff.
You didn't see that when it came out, did you?
No, but I used to watch. Comedy Central used to air all the '90s SNL reruns when I was a kid, so I saw all like the Colin Quinn years and the Mike Myers.
But they would cut them, right? They would cut them down to an hour.
Yeah,
that's what used to annoy me.
Yeah,
I don't want to see one song by Tom Petty. You know what I'm saying? And you saw all three Lenny the Lions?
I saw one of them and I remembered it.
Here's what I might want to do, Vito. See a Lenny the Lion a week until we run out.
Okay.
I want to preserve it as much as we can. Was that the funniest one or the funnier ones?
I think that's his first appearance and it's the funniest one.
God damn it.
Why wouldn't you work us down?
Yeah, start with the least funny.
Okay, but I mean, they're all great.
And now I'm living with somebody. She had a baby from a tiger. You know, they're not listening to me. Oh,
I love. He ain't hard. He grew up on a game preserve.
I know his family. That's so good. All right, give us another one, Vito.
Chris Farley's Bennett Brower. That was the guy that would use the air quotes a lot.
All right.
And I think this character influenced Tommy Boy because in it he's wearing a fucking tiny little jacket the
So
whole
you
time.
think like Fat Guy in a Little Coat?
I think Fat Guy in a Little Coat started on Weekend
Kevin
Update.
Nealon is back with us. I hope that this isn't another mistake.
Tonight, Weekend Update is happy to welcome back with another commentary, Bennett Brower. Bennett, what do you got going?
How are you, Kevin? Good to see you.
Nope, that's his regular coat, unfortunately.
Right, Bennett Brower back with another commentary. Thought you'd seen the last of old Bennett, perhaps. Thought the network bigwigs would have sent Bennett and his negative Q rating on a slow boat to Shanghai. Well, maybe I don't look the part. I'm not svelte. I don't look comfortable on camera. I'm not savvy. I don't understand what's going on in the news. I'm not likable. I don't get along with people.
All right, let's
when
just
I
say
go
this
to
about
work,
him. And we all love him. There's not a lot of range here.
But it's the best. Like,
Yeah.
that's the thing. I don't mind that this is barely different than live in a van down by the river.
If this is so funny, right?
Uh-huh.
Why hasn't Jen laughed once or even cracked a smile?
I assure you it is, Jen.
You find it funny, Jen?
I like it.
Okay. There you go.
That's how she shows enjoyment.
Well, she can't crack the eyebrows, so she can't laugh.
Oh,
No, that's a real
come
thing.
on.
Roast comic.
No, that's a real thing she told me yesterday.
What is he, Bruce Chandling over
Did you
here?
hear what he just yelled? It's a roast comic over here. All right, give us another one, Vito.
And Judy Grimes, who was the travel expert that Kristen Wiig played.
Don't remember Judy Grimes.
Yeah, Judy Grimes was...
She was the one who would talk way too fast and say, just kidding, just kidding.
Just kidding.
Just kidding, I did this, just kidding.
Here now with more on how the Icelandic eruption is affecting travel to and from Europe is prominent travel writer just back from France herself, Judy Grimes.
Bonjour. Just kidding. I don't say bonjour like that. I say bonjour like this. Bonjour. Just kidding. I shouldn't say bonjour at all because I'm not French. Just kidding. I am. I'm related to Marie Antoinette. Just kidding. I'm not, but I am related to Marie Callender. Just kidding. I wish. Can I go now? Bye. Just kidding.
Wait, Judy, you got to come back. Now, look. Are you okay? Once again, you seem really nervous, but you're doing fine.
Sorry. I'm usually calm, cool, and collected. Just kidding. I'm usually jumping hot and spread around. Just kidding. I'm just scared of volcanoes. Just kidding. I'm not scared of volcanoes, but I am scared of roosters because they say cock-a-doodle-doo. Just kidding. They say cock-a-doodle-don't. Just kidding. They say cock-a-doodle-doo charge. Just kidding. It's doodly-doo debit. Just kidding. Where am I? Just kidding.
Judy,
I like Kristen Wiig a lot. I'm not crazy about this character.
Yeah, I was never a huge fan of this particular
Does
one.
this ruin the list for you?
That's for me.
What number was it?
That and occasion.
This is number 9.
Would you put it 10?
Comedian Bruce Shandling.
No,
No.
that's got to flip.
I flip you. I flip you for real.
All right, who else you got left?
And the last person on the list.
All right, so 11.
This is number 5, but this is the 10th person.
5. I have a 10-person thing. How could 5 be the last?
Well, because you guys guessed some of the other ones, and
I know. Start it. You know what I mean? Start having some fun in this.
Okay.
You're sweating. You're sweating, and you're taking it. You know what I mean? You're making this seem like a tense thing instead of a very enjoyable thing. Look at Chris.
Loving it. Well, I don't like the list.
He's
but I'm
made it
loving
more
being
difficult
here.
for me. He's the
Look,
reason
no
I'm
Randy
tense.
Graves, no Cajun Man. This is all bullshit.
You got some deep cuts in there, Chris.
Yeah, I like deep cuts.
Don't let this keep you from enjoying the weekend update, a mass that we got coming up in just a little bit. Colin Jost, Michael Che. What, about 2 o'clock, Chris?
Yeah, it's right about 2 p.m.
Okay, nice.
So the final member of the list is
number 10?
Number 5 is Jacob Silj.
Now, first of all, I don't remember this character's name. Don't even look it up, Chris. Does anybody remember this character's name?
Do not remember the character's
This is the second one. I didn't know the lion, which I found to be hysterical. But let's see who Jacob Silj is.
The 11-day standoff between China and the United States is over, but the long-term effects on Sino-American relations remain to be seen. Joining us now with his insights is the State Department attaché for the U.S. Ambassador to China, Jacob Silj.
Thank you, Tina. Our relations with China have long been shaped by a tug-of-war between economic interests and political ideology.
Holy God.
Yes, I'll get to religion, Tina. But first, Taiwan, a Japanese colony until 1945.
Your voice.
My voice?
You're shouting.
How dare you? I have a voice-related medical condition.
Oh, I'm very sorry.
I suffer from voice immodulation, Tina. I'm unable to control the pitch or volume of my voice. Also known as Van Orton syndrome, VI is a recognized psychomedical condition that you may have read about in Newsweek or Cracked magazine. Numerous prominent Americans suffer from this debilitating disease, Tina, including the guy who played Raj on What's Happening and tennis great Pete Sampras.
Jacob, I've heard Pete Sampras speak, and he doesn't shout all the time.
Pete Sampras has low-grade voice immodulation. He is a poster child for voice immodulation.
So let's take it to the bottom and count it up. This is all over on the iBank today.
Number 10, comedian Bruce Shandling. Number 9, Judy Grimes.
By the way, was that a shot at Gary Shandling, you think?
I don't know.
No, it seems like it, right?
I don't think because it's spelled differently.
Oh, you think it's not because there's a parody on it, and it's not exactly on the fucking nose. Okay, you got me then, Vito. I didn't know the way humor worked. I thought it normally came with a little twist, but you've taught me otherwise.
In this, yeah, I think you got to do exactly the same for parodies.
You know better, right?
I know better than that.
Mm-hmm. Let's stop counting then. Let's not even keep the counting going. Anybody who's interested, that's up on the iBank today. And Nito Vito is the new character that you have.
Yeah, I'm going to pitch it to Kyle Mooney soon, and he's going to go do it.
Why don't you do this before you pitch it to him?
Okay.
Towel off. You're a little sweaty.
Oh, I thought that's what you meant, but I was nervous.
Yeah. You nervous from having the pitch thing? You're on the show every day. Why do you get nervous over?
No. I was nervous that I was sweating too much. Not that about the list, just my sweating.
Right, but I'm saying that you're sweating because of the list.
No, I'm not sweating because of the list. Chris got a little heated before, and then that got me a little sweaty and agitated.
I think you're just trying to drag Chris into this.
Yeah, he's just trying to besmirch me, Ron.
Good word, Chris.
Thank you. And my name should not be dragged into this thing because I don't even enjoy this list.
It's drag it into it.
Drag it into this list.
Got anything else to talk about before we start the big Unmasked?
No, I think we're about to throw it to Unmasked right. Oh, we're not. Okay, just
We got
kidding.
7 minutes. 7-minute conversation to take us home.
Headliners with Blake Anderson, Adam Devine, and Andrew's Home. That's happening Monday, March 19th at 9:30 a.m. at the Sirius XM studios. Go to theinterrobang.com for a chance at free tickets.
Coming up in just a couple of moments, it's Michael Che and Colin Jost. This was a really, really fun Unmasked or Headliners or whatever we're calling it. I don't even know right now, but I always like the people who, when they're working at SNL, get it and appreciate being part of that history.
And it's really cool talking to them because not only are they Weekend Update, they're the co-head writers of the show. And that's just like to get a chance to listen to this interview and hear them talk about how crazy it is, how much fun it is, the pressures of it.
It's got to be unbelievable.
It doesn't even really. It just sounds.
Well, here's the thing about Colin Jost. I think it was the year 2000. He graduates from high school. Graduates from high school in 2000. 2005, he starts his job as a writer on SNL. I mean, just think what you were doing 5 years after high school.
I know.
The chances are it does. The only way that you would have a more exciting life is that if you went straight to Afghanistan and, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, those kind of guys get a real grown-up thing real fast. But it's unusual. Now, in that 4 years, he was at Harvard and president of the Harvard Lampoon.
Sure, that'll help you along your way for sure, but it's still not a guarantee.
No, it's not a guarantee, but they go looking for those dudes. Like TV, there's been so many people out of that background that a lot of, if he didn't work on this coast, he'd work on the other coast. Somebody would give him a try. Yeah,
I didn't realize like what kind of almost like fraternity establishment that was for.
Well, I guess it could be fraternity establishment, but it's also more of like when you come out of Harvard Business School, someone is going to grab you and think, Harvard thought enough of this guy. And, he's proven himself. I mean, he was at that show for over 10 years before he got a chance to anchor. So, and then, Che is Che. He was more of a street guy and a comic that within 3 years had everybody in the country talking about. I mean, both these guys are far above where you would expect to be at their ages. And I mean, the first time I saw Che, I felt like I'd seen a completely original voice, which happens, I don't know, once, twice a generation, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he is, and they're so different, which really makes the idea of the two of them being head writers.
But you could also see how much they like each other.
They do, yeah.
Yeah. This is, the thing about SNL is you can never judge how good it is by the error that's happening. You know what I mean? Like, the same thing is true of a president. You need a certain amount of years of the president getting out of office before people decide, was he good or not?
Yeah.
And that's true of any cast of SNL.
And you always miss your, like, whatever the cast was for you, you're kind of going back and comparing it. Like, some people are going to always, like, compare them to, like, the first cast.
Right.
But, like, for the most part, you're going to compare it to, is this as good as the cast that I loved?
Right.
Yeah.
And again, you never really know that. And if you look back, let's say Eddie Murphy, he exploded like no one ever did out of that show. Wasn't even a successful show then.
Yeah.
Like it was teetering every week. They were talking about getting rid of that show. And they have the biggest movie star of the 80s on it.
Yeah.
Eddie Murphy should be enough for everyone to go, hey, no matter what happens. But here's my theory about this. And I should bring it up to an SNL person one day. I don't doing this. The thing about SNL is that we look at this the same way that we'll look at, let's say, the Giants or the Yankees. people feel like they could be a general manager of that. You know what I mean? Like if someone said to me, "Could you be a general manager of a football team?" I would say absolutely, because I have an eye. I have an eye for talent, and you know what I mean. I know how to put that chemistry together. I don't know why I feel that way, and I feel the same way about Lorne Michaels. I'm like, if I had his job, I think I could really do it well. And I don't know another man who doesn't feel that way.
Yeah,
I feel like find the best writers. Yeah, find the best cast. Pick out the best sketches.
Yeah, they just have to find out what's funny, right?
Great musical guests. It just looks easier than it obviously is. I've read everything there is to read about SNL, and it's been a roller coaster over the years. And yet there's something in your stupid head. For the same reason, if somebody said to me, "Could you go down and be general manager of the Marlins?" I go, "I turn that fucking team around so fast you wouldn't believe it."
Particularly when the job to the outsider only seems like just recognizing talent. You know what I mean?
Oh,
If
it
you're
looks
like,
fantastic.
yeah,
It looks like the best, easiest thing that's ever happened in the world.
it just feels like you could sit at your desk and be like, love it, that shit.
Well, here's the problem. At no point ever, when you're daydreaming, do you think of obstacles that you can't overcome? You know what I mean? It's
all easy.
So I'll sit around and I'll have a daydream. I've never had a daydream in my life about dropping a fucking pop fly in the World Series. And I probably have more World Series daydreams than there's been World Series. And I never think it's a World Series and I went 0 for 4. Hope I could get them back tomorrow. You know what I mean? Like, there's something I wish that your daydreams would just have a couple glitches in it, so you wouldn't be so stupid. So that's how I feel about that. Like I'll sit around and go, somebody didn't discover Jim Carrey's fucking thing. I would have fucking seen that coming through the door. I'd have the best show that anybody's ever seen, and that's gotta. I mean, I guarantee you can't be in the front office of a sports team and listen to sports radio.
Right.
You would just be yelling, dummy, stupid.
Be waiting for them after they got off their shift because you would have to hate them.
I was even talking about the callers. You're right. Every host feels like they know what trade needs to be done.
Yeah.
How do you know what trade? You've never made a trade in your life. Who would you even call? Hello? Is this the Panthers? Is there someone that I could talk to about a quarterback trade? And yet, I swear to God, it's terrible. I also feel like without ever trying it, I could really design some great plays. I feel like I could come up. Yes.
That one definitely seems like I couldn't even fathom
Easy
it.
to me, in my mind. I feel like I could have somebody 10 feet open every single pass play. I'm not claiming that I'm right. I'm just claiming that that's what's wrong with the way we look at the world. It's like why we always are calling presidents an idiot.
Yes.
It looks like you could be the president. You just make good decisions all day.
Yeah.
Meet people.
It seems like all you have to
Yeah.
do is say yes to the right things and no to the right, and then that would be set.
Instead, did you see Trump yesterday when he met with the Irish, Prime Minister?
No.
I didn't see it, but yeah, I know.
This is the best part. You see his office, his coat, right? His jacket. It's got moss in it. They fucking made him put moss. I don't know. I guess it's some sign of friendship with the Irish. But I'd be like, what the fuck are you talking about? I'm not putting moss in my jacket. It'll end up on Seth Meyers tonight.
They're going to mock me.
Yeah, I don't need to make it easier for them.
You think the guy in the $3,000 suit is going to put moss in his...
Here's the sad thing about Trump. He's never paid $3,000. He looks like he buys off the rack.
He does.
Yeah.
And you're like, you wear a suit every day for as long as you've been famous. My whole life.
He's always been in a suit.
I've never not
suit
seen
or
him in
golfing
suits.
clothes.
And then it never seemed like a tailor was a priority.
No.
A tailor can do a lot for you. For everyone.
he's-
We all have weird shaped bodies. Every one of us.
He's off the rack for every single thing that he does. God bless him for it, though. I salute you, sir. I salute you. And believe me, when I take over Saturday Night Live, we'll see what happens. All right, so are we going to take a break first before we go through this?
Take a break first.
I think you're going to enjoy this Unmasked. I think that these guys are, again, it's so great to see guys in that position that like each other and are liking the gig.
Yeah.
And even liking the tough stuff. Like even the tough stuff, they seem like it's enjoyable to them. So
Yeah.
I hope that holds up. And again, you can't imagine being two young guys like this, two guys in their early 30s, and you're in New York City and you got that gig, SNL, and you're taking that elevator every day. It's got to be insane. All right, we will take a break here. Back with Unmasked, Colin Jost and Michael Che.
What's up, guys?
Yeah, I'm not nervous at all.
Yeah, you get nervous about things, right?
Absolutely. Don't you?
No.
Never?
No.
I do.
What's the last thing you were nervous about?
Baby being born.
Oh, yeah.
Other than that, and that was a long time ago. But
I was nervous
when you
last
were born,
night.
you mean, as a baby?
And the cord around my neck.
Last night I was at a bar and this lady left her purse and went to the bathroom, and I was like, I wouldn't trust me with that. I don't even steal. I don't want her to just lose something and then blame me.
Yeah.
So no.
So you're making up scenarios in your head.
Yeah.
Remember we were at Ohio?
I made her counter money.
We did a show in Ohio State, and the girl stole my jacket while
That's
we were
right.
at the bar.
That's true.
And then turned out the bartender was her friend and covered up for her and wouldn't turn her in.
Yeah, they wouldn't show us the footage.
Yeah. For real.
They,
I was like,
no,
what?
seriously, yeah.
And he goes, yeah, I shouldn't. I'm like,
I shouldn't show. I would think you guys do what's got to be one of the most nerve-wracking high-wire acts in comedy ever. Are you freaked before the show, or does that bother you?
It bothered in a different way than it did. Like initially, it freaks you out because you just want it to be good.
yeah,
right?
when you start, it's an existential fear. You're like, can I do this? Am I going to be terrible at this?
Right.
And my life's going to end, and I'm going to be the worst person ever to ever do this. That's your existential fear.
Yeah.
And then after a few years, when you start settling in, your fear is more, I want this week to be good. Is there anything that's going to stand out? Is it going to be funny? But it's not like you don't feel like I'm going to be the worst person in the world anymore.
No.
Just top 10.
Che just went no. But see, here's the thing: you're the only people doing comedy that get reviewed every show. I mean, there's massive reviews that go out. They don't do that for any of the late night shows or anybody else.
No, yeah, it's like playing for the Knicks.
God, review. We talked about this too, but the idea having to review comedy is such a weird job. And it's a hard job, but also
is it?
It seems hard to do it well, based on reviews that I've read. But it's like you reviewing. Imagine like watching comedy when you were young and then reading a review of it, of like a Chris Farley movie. Like you just who's reviewing this stuff and who's funny that's also doing reviews. Like I can't imagine.
I don't remember that when I was a kid. I don't remember like watching Family Matters and then reading about here's why Urkel is problematic. Okay,
because of all of it.
No, yeah.
But you guys also get reviewed with 40 years of other performances every single week. You know, the name Chevy Chase will still pop up in a review about last week's show.
Yeah, it's strange. The strangest part is not that Chevy Chase, it's that it'd be like a 27-year-old writer that's like, Chevy Chase would have never, like, how do you remember Chevy Chase? It was like 45 years ago.
Yeah.
Well, in our building, too, there's photos of all the old, all the old cast members, old sketches, and when you see a photo, it's super intimidating because you're like, oh, that looks so classic. But then when you watch old episodes, they're very hit and miss.
Yes.
And it actually makes you feel better because you're like, oh, yeah, it's still the same as it was. Like there's maybe one or two good things and then there's others that are not, really, like, and that's a good week. You know?
Yeah, you only remember like the best things,
Sure.
After a while, you just remember the best stuff and the worst stuff and everything. Like it was a 90-minute show 40 years ago, so there was a lot of stuff that wasn't good, but you remember your favorite. People think that those episodes were like Will Ferrell's best stuff, but it was like, I'm sure there was clunkers.
Sure.
It was fine.
Same thing with Letterman's show from the 80s. Go back. Everybody always idolizes that.
Yeah.
And if you go back and watch it, he was still really figuring out a lot of stuff, you know?
And that's part of the fun. I think that's probably why people, when they first saw Letterman in that era, loved it, because they watched someone figure it out.
Yeah,
and as a
that's
comedy
true.
fan, that's really satisfying. Like, Lorne talks about how people are always the funniest they ever are on SNL, and even people who have huge careers after, like a Will Ferrell or Tina Fey, or there's something about seeing people discovering them for the first time, even if they're raw or on a show like SNL. Maybe not everything works, but you're invested because you're like, no one's ever seen this person before, you know?
Which is why a lot of SNL fans are, you know, their favorite seasons are always kind of what do they say, like 14 or whatever, like when
you discover it, right?
Yeah, when you discover it, that's
yeah.
the best, and we can never compete with that. That's in your head when you start, but after a couple seasons, you start to just do what's funny and what you think is funny and what's of the time, and then you just let it shake out the way it shakes out.
But you guys had the other thing that you have to work on your own chemistry together, and that's not an easy thing.
Well, that's especially hard on SNL because we're not on camera together.
Right. Or rarely, except for the first shot.
Yeah, the first shot is when we're together. So you have to establish a chemistry in a single, which is very, very hard to do and tricky to figure out. But, you know, like on a feature, like you and Leslie, you guys are together. You're talking directly to each other. So that chemistry can almost be instant. But with us, we kind of have to pick up where the other one leaves off. And it's a little bit trickier to do.
Finish each other's sentences.
Sentences. I was a little late on that.
Yeah. And
I was going to say, too, like for our show, too, like when Chris Rock came back, he was like, SNL is the last place on TV where you can fail, which is an interesting thing because normally things aren't live and our show is live. So there are sketches that die or jokes that we tell that die.
Right.
You know, and there's no editing it. That's just out there. And there's something thrilling about seeing people also fail that, you know, you wouldn't necessarily see.
Oh, what a lonely feeling. When you tell a joke that bombs and that camera leaves you. You're just sitting there listening to another guy tell a funny joke. And that camera comes right back on you and you're like, this joke's going to be worse. That's why it's second. Oh.
But now that's the thing difference now, and now it's so fun if like I tell a joke that bombs and it cuts to you, you're so excited. Like you're smiling when it cuts to you because you just know I bombed.
And that's where you find the chemistry.
Right.
So it's like, you know, that's where you got to kind of cheat and find that chemistry. So when you tell a joke or whatever, whether it works or not, or if I don't like the joke or if I love the joke, when it comes back to me, I got to let the audience know that I heard the joke too.
Yeah.
You know, that we're together. That's how you know when you're watching TV that we're in the same studio. Because we're never together otherwise.
Well, it's like comics watching each other in the back of a comedy club, and you're often laughing at when the comic's dying. That's like the funniest. You would rather because first of all, it makes you feel better about yourself, but also it's just fun to watch. You don't get to see once you know someone's funny, and then watching them fail is really funny.
Yeah.
I always think the other thing too that's so tough in your gig is sometimes there'll be, as it switches over, the audience will have a beat before they get the joke sometimes, you know, like if it's particularly clever. So when you switch over to the other person, you might even be starting and they're like, oh, now I get that joke, you know?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you can sometimes help each other by waiting a second and letting them catch up or, you know, or hurt it either way. You know, you can...
Now, writing this, are you writing all week? Do you realize that everybody is doing current event material, unlike when the show, you know, started in the 70s?
Well, the weird thing, it's not even so much that everybody's doing current event material on TV. It's that everyone's doing current event material in life, like in the world, on Twitter, there's so many times I'll say a joke and I'll be like, oh, I tweeted something like that. And you're like, all right, man, I don't follow you. I didn't know. It's like you have to compete with the whole world's opinion about the same issue and everyone's got a joke for it. And there's so much comedy that you kind of have to find a way to make it stand out or make it at least feel fresh. And the easiest way is just kind of being honest about what it seems like to you, because then they can't accuse you of lying. We could have the same idea, but you can't accuse me of lying if it's true.
Yeah. And also you have to watch out for writers because a lot of them have been accused of reading people's tweet. I think that happened to Conan once, that, you know, maybe one of his writers was just getting a little lazy.
Or it's unconsciously in your brain from seeing it somewhere. Or, I mean, in the long run, I always think someone proves their reputation in the long run. Like if there's one blip where something happened, but you know they're generally never doing that, then it doesn't really matter. If there's some weird pattern of it, then I think obviously that's a problem. But everyone has some moment where you say something that you didn't even realize was from something else or whatever. That's what happens as a comic.
I'm sure Robin Thicke just maybe stole Marvin Gaye's thing, and
he just so
happened to have the same exact melody. Who knows?
Well, he got a good summer out of it, though. You got to give him that. He had one hell of a summer before the receipt came in.
Well, if he had a second huge hit, you'd be like, okay, now it's for you.
Now, for you guys, I would guess, Colin, this was a career path for you from the beginning, because you did, you know, Harvard Lampoon and stuff. This had to be an idea. But Che, this has to feel crazy to you that you ended up getting this gig, right?
Yeah, it's because of Colin too. Like I knew Colin from stand up. We used to do stand up shows together. You know, in the scene, you do these kind of feature sets at a club. They'll put 5 or 6 random comedians on every night or whatever. And me and Colin would play the same clubs. I think Stand Up New York and the Cellar and
Strip. Yeah,
the Strip. And I remember, I think we were at Knitting Factory, actually, right?
Yeah.
We were at Knitting Factory together, Hannibal Buress' show back in the day, which is weird to say back in the day already, like 5 years ago, but the world's changed. And he's hosted a show, and we did a show together, and he messaged me. He was like, hey, would you want to come in as a guest writer? And I came in, and it worked. Like, it was just, I never thought I could do it or whatever. It wasn't something I was shooting to do because I didn't write sketches. So I didn't know. Once you see like, now that I know the bones and the anatomy of the show, I could understand why you would bring in a comedian that's never written a sketch before. Because I know, like, what's necessary to kind of make that show. But then I was like, I thought you'd have to be, you know, a completely polished sketch writer.
Yeah, but the reason that I wanted to bring you in was you were very funny, and you realize when you
never told me that.
Yeah, no, this is a huge moment. When you start out in comedy, you kind of assume there's probably like 1 million funny people in the world. And then as you get longer in your career, you're like, I think it's more like 50, like at all times.
Yeah.
And he was someone that was like, oh yeah, he's just really funny. So I think now,
48.
You know, top 48. But it was now you just look, if you see someone that's really funny, you just try to get them in because you just sense they'll figure it out, because this is what, if all they do is comedy and that's all they care about and they're funny, you kind of trust that they're going to figure it out in some way. You know?
Plus the show is such a well-oiled machine that if you have a funny idea, if you have bones of a funny thing, there's enough, you know, senior writers and producers there that can kind of figure it out and understands the language of the show to make it work. So a lot of times you just need funny people in there that have funny ideas that can, you know, kind of get the ball rolling.
And new ideas.
And new ideas.
When someone comes in with a fresh perspective and just a different way of going about things, it makes everyone else wake up a little bit.
I was actually the first Black person to work in Rockefeller Center. You know, a lot of people don't know that.
You do get that Jackie Robinson thing. No matter what you do, everyone's bringing it up every time.
Somewhere Al Roker just choked up.
But you would think by 2018 we'd be done with the first Black, whatever it is.
We almost had a joke about that this week about I think Jordan Peele.
Oh, first, yeah, because he was the first. Was he the first Black
you
writer
would
to
think
win?
That we're done with first Black things, but we're not. We still got like a whole list. We still got a whole Black bucket list of things that we'd like to do before global warming.
I remember when the Oscar, the year there where there was like no diversity at all at the Oscars. I realized that there were more Black actors nominated the year of the actual Selma March than the year Selma was nominated as a movie.
That's hilarious.
Isn't it crazy?
I didn't know that. That's a good one. You've been sitting on that this whole time, man? That's genius.
I'm just going to guess. Portier? Was it Portier? Is that...
No, it was before him. It was someone else. But when does this air? Does this air in 2014? Because this is going to be killer material.
Oh, man.
The thing about Che, and I was a fan of his, of course, but I thought that your voice was so unique that I worried when you got into SNL that maybe you would be kind of polishing off some of that. Yeah.
I thought it is that's honestly a real thing, because you don't, when you inherit a job, like when you're doing a job that's been done at such a high level for so many years before you only feel like to go back to what you're saying, you only feel like you can mess it up, you know what I mean? And you try to do the job that you saw done. You try to do what you've seen. So I would try to do the structure of like Seth or Tina, people that did it extremely well. Yeah. And it just didn't fit for me. So it was something I had to learn to say, well, you know what, I got to do what works for me. And that was kind of more thoughtful bits, more longer runs, more kind of getting in depth on one thing and approaching it the way I would do it on stage, as opposed to what I thought people would expect from an update anchor. And that takes a while to do, to have the confidence to do that, for one, and to also take the risk of like, you don't want to get fired because but you're more likely to get fired trying to do it someone else's way than trying to do it your own way.
Which is hard. That's counterintuitive when you start out, because, again, you're scared.
Yeah, you're nervous. And also, you love the show. You don't want to mess it up. So you're like, let me do what is expected, as opposed to let's do something new.
And that also, I feel like Che coming along helped me so much, because there was his attitude of like, we have to make it new and shake it up. And I'd also been at SNL for a while, so I think it was more ingrained in me, like, oh yeah, I guess that's how it is. Right. And it was so helpful for him to come and kind of look at it from a different perspective and be like, look, we got to do it our way and make it ours.
Yeah, because it would be easy to do some impression of Seth, because he did it so well.
He did it so well for so long. He's almost synonymous with update, you know? So it's like, you would almost write the joke. You hear yourself writing the joke in his voice, which is that's just because of how good he was, you know? So we had to kind of figure out how to write comedy again in our voices. And what helped me was stand up. It was just like, well, how would I say this on stage? And then just give me that. And that's how I would do it.
Neither one of you stopped doing stand up, right? You just,
no.
Yeah. No. What, you jump up during the week, even a week that you got a show, or?
Less likely during the week of a show, just because a lot of times you're writing so much, your brain is just fried. Yeah. But sometimes, just to stay sharp, I'll
do you guys ever run any of those jokes on stage that you might do, or?
Well, I don't start writing jokes really until Thursday, Friday. So I never really have time to. By the time I'm starting to write the jokes, I don't have time to get up and work them out. I don't know. Do you ever?
I always wanted to, but then the rest, because we're also writing, we're on producing sketches. So by the end of the week, it's really hard to find a solid hour to go to a club. And then you're also, I've done it a couple times, kind of, but the rhythm is also so different.
Completely different.
You know, and so it's sort of hard to get a total sense of it. Unless you can get an idea of, is there a kernel of an idea here that's worth pursuing? But it's hard to get a fully fleshed out rhythm. You also have so much more time on stage than you do on Weekend Update. Like on Weekend Update, we probably have a total of 5 minutes or something, 8 minutes to really do jokes. So the pace is so much faster.
That's another thing that people, I don't think, realize when they're watching it, is that we get like, I gotta cover something in 45 seconds, you know, we gotta cover like a topic in like 45 seconds that other people will get 7 minutes on, and they can kind of go in depth and they can pace and they can milk it. And we're very, very rigid on time because it's a live show and there's other things. You know, I remember one time we went 2 minutes over right? It was like 2 minutes over on an update.
Yeah.
And like a sketch got cut, like the world. It's like,
and you feel bad. You're like, oh my God, my friend's sketch got cut because we laughed at Leslie.
That's 2 minutes. You know, it's just 2 minutes. So it's like, a lot of times you kind of got to make sure that the thought is concise and funny. And then when that camera leaves, hopefully they laughed and you don't have that long walk home.
It is. It's hard getting into a
But both of you, the writing that you do in your own stand-up feels different than the kind of writing that you do for Update.
Yeah, I mean, for me, maybe even more so than for you, I would think. But
a lot more N-words for me.
Yeah, mine too, actually, and it's become a huge problem.
Thank God,
I've cleared out some theaters. Yeah, I mean, for me, it's way more personal doing stand up. I'm not that political of a comedian. Like I'll touch on things, but outside of my job, I find politics pretty boring. And I just don't. It's like when you do it every day, you kind of don't want to do it on your off time.
Yeah. Well, you guys have had to deal with something that I don't think anybody else has had to deal with, and that's a president that people are talking about.
That people love.
Yes. Is probably the most beloved, particularly in New York, the most beloved man. But it is constant. It's 24 hours a day. People, like you're in a bodega and you just hear Trump. You hear Trump. It's constant.
Everywhere. It's bizarre.
Well, there was an article at some point that he might be the most famous person in history. Like in terms of how many how many people. I mean, well,
Jesus is pretty famous.
I don't know what. Now I'm saying it out loud. I'm like, I don't know. George Washington's pretty
I'm sure
famous.
he's been on TV more. And, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a massive amount of things in the media that are just catered to him 24 hours a day, whether it's pro or con. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's also just kind of perfect storm of this kind of guy who demands to be in, if he's the most famous person, I guess Kardashian's second.
Right,
so
yeah.
This is the caliber, this is the scale that we're talking about. It's not like it's him and Einstein.
Hitler got a lot of press, but
it's,
some of it very unfair.
Fake news. That was fake news all the way through.
Fake news.
Yeah.
But he demands this kind of attention, and people demand the attention. A lot of it comes from people's own kind of narcissism of, I want to have the Trump joke to end all Trump jokes, and I want to have the Trump commentary to end all Trump commentary. And it's not really just him. A lot of times it's people using him to boost themselves up in a weird way. And it's like everybody, which is kind of bizarre. And as a performer, you kind of see it when you're on stage and you bring his name up and people kind of go, oh, again.
Yeah. Right.
It's kind of like not interesting to talk about, but as soon as you hear it, you kind of want to talk about it.
And there's a weird, people have put all these expectations on comedians sometimes. Where like, you almost feel like you got to say something that just takes him down.
Right.
I think it's probably going to be voting. I think it's my sense is it's going to be voting.
It's kind of weird. Like we'll play schools, like colleges sometimes, together or separate. And, I'll have kids and even adults, like people like in the street. Hey man, I just want you to know I get all my news from you guys, and I'm like, oh no, you shouldn't, man. This is a lot of stuff we're making up. Like, don't get real news, but that's kind of what it is. People just kind of look to comedians now as some sort of authority. We're like, no man, we're just trying to. I will lie. I will absolutely lie. I will lie for a joke. I don't care.
And you both said you guys weren't real like news junkies before you came into this life. Your material was more about your life or whatever.
I definitely followed the news, but it gets very, I don't know. I think there is a lot of weird stuff with the media, and I think people just need to generate stories. I mean, like the New York Times is all the news that's fit to print, but it's the same exact length every single day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So there's something there. People need to generate stories, and sometimes I get tired of that. It just feels like an endless cycle. But I don't know. Yeah. Then you do this job and you kind of have to.
Yeah, you have to. I think that you guys really found your sea legs and your chemistry together when you started to do the summer weekend updates. I thought that was brilliant idea and perfect for you guys.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
It was kind of, I don't know. I think like the year before that we did like these election kind of shows, right?
That was the year before. Wow, yeah.
That was long. That was already 2 years ago.
Feels like 6 years ago. Doesn't the Oscars feel like 3 months ago?
Yeah.
6 days ago.
No, yeah, we did those shows, and I think that's kind of where the idea maybe came about.
Yeah, and maybe of shaking it up a little bit, and just the process changed a little bit for the better.
Yeah,
behind the scenes, like that process. But yeah, the summer ones were also two things. One was it was nice because it broke up the summer because it was such a charged time last summer, and it was nice to be back on the air for part of it and not miss full 3 months of news.
Right.
And it just kept us fresher, or like kept us sharper when we got back to the show, that we were more in a groove already.
But it also felt like you guys were immediately looser to me. Like, it immediately felt like, okay, they feel less pressure.
Well, you got to remember, it was just us. So
yeah.
We have first of all, we maybe doubled our time in a lot of cases.
Yeah.
So we have way more time. Then you can take the time into things that you want to do. There's more acts. There's commercial break. You can kind of reset. You can, like it's a show.
Right.
So it's a lot more space, and it's a lot more room. And it's not as rigid as just being kind of in the middle of a show, straight through 3 features, and then you're out. It's kind of, it's like actual shopping and supermarket sweep. It's a complete difference.
Oh, now I get it. Now I completely understand. I didn't have it at all.
I saw your eyes crossing. They almost your pupils hit.
But you guys went and added a lot more pressure with being head writers for the show now.
Well, we didn't add it. Lorne added it.
Lorne added it.
We didn't request it.
No.
It's weird because we were already kind of doing the job, which is there's only so much work hours, sheer hours you can do, and so we're doing the same number of hours, but now we just have even more anxiety. I mean, that's really the only difference.
Yeah, you get a lot. You get yelled at for more now. Yeah, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, I don't know. You feel more like even on Sundays, and when you're off on Sundays, you're more worried about the show or how it went, or thinking about next week. It's really like anxiety. It's less because it's also not your show at the end of the day. It's still Lorne's show,
right?
So you have to try to just do your best to make it what you think. Get it in the shape you can.
There's a lot of things like in the show that's kind of super, not more important, but kind of what sets the show off. The cold open is very important. The monologue, first sketch out of monologue.
Yeah.
Like those kinds of things are a little bit more our responsibility as far as looking over, that we share with Kent and the producers and Brian Tucker. So it's, it becomes that, but for the most part, like you said, we're still working just as hard on the show because we're fans of the show. So we actually do care about it. You want it to be the fun seasons. You want it to be the seasons that people are fond of. And I think these past few years have been pretty good.
Yeah, it's been fun. I mean, I think as head writer too, you also, one of the biggest things is you're just trying to lead by example. And like when I started, like Tina was the head writer, and she would write really funny sketches. So you were like, it just drove you to get better. And you were always I was always amazed how many jokes she had in every scene she wrote. Things like that census taker scene that I loved with Tim Meadows and Christopher Walken, things like that. There's so many jokes in that script, and it just drives you to get better. And so that's like being a good head writer, I think is partially that, is just showing other writers like, oh yeah, I'm really dedicated to this and I'm going to make this the best I can.
And when I started, Seth was head writer with Jost too. Yeah. And I remember how Seth was kind of like, he was like a sketch doctor. Like anything you had, no matter what kind of humor it was, no matter what kind of perspective it was, he could look at your sketch and make it a little better. Like he could tell you what to do to make it a little bit better. So that's something as a head writer that you kind of want to be able to do for other writers as well, being able to look at it and help them with it.
Well, it's always funny to me because sometimes that's the best thing if you see a Tina, and sometimes if you're young, you're like, oh God, it's like if a young open mic guy goes in, he sees a tell do 15 minutes.
Right, and you're like, how would I ever do this?
Let me out of here.
Right.
Yeah. I can't breathe right now.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's why open mics are nice, because you're seeing open micers. Right. And then you're like, oh, I can definitely do this like that. I can do it.
Yeah.
But I I think it's always interesting about SNL how many hilarious people went there and kind of hit the wall and it didn't work for them. You know, a lot of people had careers after the fact that kind of got chewed up there for a couple of years.
Like, if you look at the biggest stars after SNL, probably as many had tough SNL careers as had good SNL careers.
Right.
If you look at the Larry Davids or Ben Stillers or Janine Garofalo's or people that had huge careers after that didn't quite pan, or Sarah Silverman. I mean,
Robert Downey.
Yeah, Robert Downey Jr.
Whatever happened to him? Is he doing? Is he doing anything?
I think it's bad. Whatever it is, it's bad.
Super poor.
Yeah,
super
I think he's
poor.
super
Famously
poor.
poor now.
Is that just attitude? You think it's just some kind of acceptance of whether you enjoy your time there or not?
I think it's just when you get there, you don't know what to do.
Yeah.
I mean, when you start and you're just trying to figure it out, and sometimes it's the time you come in. Like, are there senior people that are there ahead of you and you don't get a shot really, or you just can't quite figure it out, or you're not built for it. I mean, Larry David's probably probably the most successful writer in history, and I'm going with all extremes tonight. But probably,
Mark Twain was pretty good.
No.
I don't know. Man. I don't know. Okay.
It's very Trumpian of you, though. It's always the biggest.
See what I'm saying? Like the president. Oh God. Anyway, he's the greatest writer in history.
Oh my God.
But I mean, he didn't work out at SNL, and then he created 2, hit shows, and so it's
huge shows.
The Jay Moore book is amazing. A guy who can do impressions and is really, really funny, and just went there and just lost it. It was so difficult for him.
And I didn't even think, when I was as a viewer, I didn't even think of him as not working out on the show. Like cause I was younger and I was like, oh yeah, Jay Moore. I didn't even think of that.
I'm not even gonna lie. Like, when you just said that, I was like, really? Like,
yeah.
I thought Jay Moore was
well,
good.
he wrote a whole thing about having panic attacks.
Yeah, gasping for air.
Yeah, just felt like no one liked him and didn't know where he was supposed to drop the sketches off. The whole thing is like a fever dream. And if I was casting that show, I'd probably pick him first. I'm like, that guy can do anything.
Yeah. It's definitely a weird thing. Like, I know, like, the first couple years where you're there, you get dreams, you get these nightmares that you're like showing up late or in your underwear or stuff like that. Like, you would get these kind of panicky dreams all through.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's after a while, the comedy can be very, very hard, but it's also really easy. It's just comedy. We make it a lot more because bombing is so hard to deal with, and being bad at it is so excruciating. But if you don't mind being bad at it, it's a lot of fun. It really is.
I mean, you just accept that.
Yeah,
you go through horrible swings. You have moments where you're like, okay, I think I've sort of figured this out. I think this is okay. And then you have moments where you're like, I think no one likes me. No one thinks I'm funny. I'm really bad. Like Pete Davidson, like every other week is always like, does everyone hate me? Yeah. We're like, no, we love you. You're so funny. And he's like, I think everyone hates me. Like, no.
Just tell him the truth.
It's easier. It'd be easier.
Well, like, I'll watch like Norm do Update, and he'll say something, and it just gets nothing, like absolutely nothing, and it's delightful.
Yeah,
like, you can tell he's delighted. He's almost happier that it didn't work.
He waits longer if it doesn't work.
Yeah, and it's like, oh yeah, because he doesn't mind if he thinks it's funny. It's funny.
Oh my God!
And a lot of times, like, you kind of got to remember that part of comedy of it's fun. It's just it's jokes. It's fun, and you'll
go back and watch Norm's updates.
I love watching Norm's updates. Yeah,
he had one. Oh my God, he had one at Dresser that got cut after Dress, and it was I don't know what year it was, but it was like it was something about Woody Allen's new girlfriend, and it cut to the photo, that photo of a Vietnamese girl running naked down the streets, and like that famous news photo.
Yeah.
And the audience there, I've never heard the reaction. The audience was like, "No! Oh my God! What is wrong with you?" I've never heard a reaction like that.
It's great, man.
I think too that there weren't a lot of people on the internet when he was doing that, and it was only after a lot of people got on the internet that you're like, oh, he was beloved. You know what I mean? Because the papers acted like he was the most hated person, whoever.
Well, that's again, as a fan, you don't know this stuff. Like when I was watching him, I was like, yeah, he's the best. And then I didn't even know like him getting fired or that there was any weird network stuff with him. You just never know that. You're blissfully unaware.
That's what kind of helps you. Is what people know about comedy is, did it make me laugh or did it not make me laugh?
Yeah.
For the most part. And that's kind of all you can perform for. When you start thinking about reviewers and what, it takes the fun out of it. You kind of just gotta, you get into it not wanting to be reviewed well. You get into it trying to make people laugh and just having a good time. And I think like that's kind of, fun is contagious. When they know that you're having fun and when they know that, you're enjoying it, people want to be in on it. And I think that's what helps it.
You brought up Pete and the fact that you are the two Staten Island guys. And both
I'm sure Lorne can't believe there are two people from Staten Island on his show.
You don't normally even see two people from Staten Island in Manhattan.
Anywhere.
It would be shocking.
We're always a little scared.
Yeah.
Unless they're on the back of a garbage truck or something.
Hey.
It's good, solid work, and we need it. We need that.
New York's strongest.
More people die. That's the name of that.
That's the name. I've never heard that before.
Yeah.
Isn't it cool?
Oh, yes.
Wow. And you know what corrections is? Corrections officers, New York's boldest.
That I didn't know.
That's sort of like a little ambitious.
But it's also pointed out that more of New York's strongest die on the job than cops or firemen.
What?
Yeah, you're
Is
more
it from
likely.
Stuff that's in, like,
no, you're more likely to be hit by a car. You're more
I thought it was like raccoon attacks or something.
That's upstate.
It's very
wow.
Yeah,
I didn't know.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that is crazy.
We'll take that back to Pete the next time.
Hey Pete, you're okay.
Well, he tries to get everybody in Staten Island to hate him.
Oh yeah,
on the air.
That's the thing is he did a great update about how he thinks everyone on Staten Island hates him. But I guarantee if we both went to Staten Island, everyone on Staten Island would love Pete so much more. Still, he'd be like, "You guys suck." And they're like, "Yeah, we love you."
Yeah. Also, there's new pressure because people get invested in your personal life now. Like the media will pay attention to your personal life, which doesn't always happen for just straight comedians.
Yeah. It's very, I don't know. It's you get better at blocking it out because I don't know. We both had full lives before this, so it doesn't. I feel like it doesn't quite bother you in the same way.
Yeah, I don't. To me, it's immediately funny that anybody would care about my personal life. So you're kind of just like, yeah, okay, you say whatever you want. It's weird that you even care.
Well, you're the first person that ever said to me, Twitter isn't real, so I don't care what I say there or what people say about me.
No, it's not real at all.
I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah. I don't care about Twitter. It's Bitcoin. It's Bitcoin. It's literally Bitcoin for emotion. It's like
so super valuable.
Yeah, it's just like it's only valuable because you say it's valuable. I don't know what it is. Doesn't really. I've never seen anybody at a deli buy anything with it. I'm just saying, if you need a sandwich and you got Bitcoin, you're gonna starve. It's the same thing with Twitter. I don't believe in it. It's fine, like whatever. I don't care. I don't care if I'm trending. You know what it's like? I'm not on Twitter anymore anyway. But you know what it's like? People, Twitter is saying a lot of bad things about you. It's like if you're doing 40 miles an hour in a car and you're driving and you see people yelling at you. And you hear what they're saying about you? Like, no, I'm driving a car. I could care less about what they're saying about me.
They're saying there's a baby in the road.
Man, I'll figure it out. That's what I don't care about it.
But I remember in college walking in a car, pulled up, and someone just yelled, "You're ugly," and then kept driving. And it was the opposite, where I was like devastated. I was like, "Oh no!" And it's just so effective. Just like, "You're ugly," keep going. Oh God.
Yeah. So you don't pay attention, or you do?
I don't go. I used to look at I used to look at things, and now I don't. I just there was a period where I don't look at all. Now I'll look and I find it more amusing than anything.
Right.
Twitter, I feel like is just. I find it's only if you have nothing to lose. Once you have something to lose, there's nothing to gain from Twitter. But like reviews and stuff, I like if there's a negative review or a negative thing written, I always like imagining the person who wrote it and like what they're doing right now.
Yeah.
And it makes me feel better. I'm like, what is this life that
There's
you're going and
too
doing?
much. I always said this a lot of times in school. There's too much. I don't know. We put too much stock in the written word, I feel. If anything's written about you...
It's the saddest thing I've ever heard.
He said this in English class.
I said I knew from a... It's true.
Book report, but may I just point out...
Whenever somebody starts a sentence confidently with, I read, I'm like, I'm checked out, because it's going to be something that sucks. It's always... It's just like not a. Because you could write. Look, like people will write something. No one cares who wrote it. Right. They just care that it's written. Yeah. So like if you're on a subway and you see a dude and he gets on the subway and he just yells like whatever, I don't know, Donald Trump sucks, and you'd be like, oh, this guy's crazy, and he's got like bags on his feet and straws.
No, he works for MSNBC.
And that insane person, if he wrote it, you'd like, I read that.
Yeah. I read on fart.edu. Yeah.
If he yells it, you're like, that guy's nuts, and I'm going to keep walking. You read it, anyway, you don't know who that guy is.
I probably know he doesn't have bags on his feet, though.
Right.
He might.
Yeah, he could have him on his hands, too.
He didn't read his about me.
Yeah. Well, what's also funny about that, too, is like, the review on each SNL show comes out about 15 minutes after the show was
tons
over.
Of great classic historical perspective.
Yeah. No one was like listening to a Stevie Wonder album going,
like not sure about this.
Yeah. You
As
give it a little bit,
there was like I remember Ebert, I think, went back a few years ago and looked at his old review of like Dumb and Dumber, and he was like, you know what? I was wrong. It's actually pretty funny.
I told you, I feel like they should give Oscars, like they should do Oscars like the Hall of Fame. Like it should be like a 5 year.
It's got to be out for 10 years.
Right. Yeah, it should be like you should review 5 years after it's come out. Those movies, because that's what makes them. There's so many movies that like win these awards, and then you've never heard or seen them on TV again afterwards, for years and years and years.
There should be something for a movie that you'll watch 50, 60 times because you love it. Yeah, and that's very rarely
the Shawshanks. They'll call them.
Yeah,
that's the awards.
Shawshanks on. Did that win Best Picture?
No,
I don't think it was even nominated.
That was on every single day. It's like Shawshank, Law and Order, Shawshank, Law and Order. It's like the greatest thing ever. Yeah. How could it not win all the awards?
Yeah.
One of the best things written about Shawshank was written by a guy with bags on his feet. I don't know why I give him so much
the
power.
review was Trump sucks. I don't think that's related.
I think it was The World According to... No, not The World According... What was the other one? Forrest Gump, when he beat Shawshank, and Pulp Fiction.
All right. Well, Forrest Gump was good.
Yeah, there you go.
I'll give it that.
Forrest Gump is kind of amazing that got made as a movie, too.
Yeah.
It's pretty strange.
Yeah, it wouldn't get made now.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, now everyone will be throwing rocks at it.
They're like, can we make him smart?
Can we help him?
I don't like Forrest Gump. In my 30s, I stopped liking it just because I hate Jenny so much. I think Jenny was a dirtbag.
Taking advantage of this guy.
She took advantage. If Jenny was a dude and Forrest Gump was a girl, that'd be a much worse movie. That'd be a much worse.
God,
just some dude that keeps popping into her life. Like, I had brain still broke.
I have never once thought that in my life. And
I
that's
need money
hilarious.
again, Forrest.
You're kind of slow, but I've got AIDS.
Hey, girl, Forrest, you ever seen a naked body before?
Oh, man, that is hilarious. You would go to jail.
You would go to jail. You would be a terrible guy.
Who do you guys remember? Who was the cast when you first started watching SNL? What was the?
Well, I'm the youngest of 7, and like my closest sibling's like 8 years older than me. So they would watch. I didn't get to pick what I watched for like the first 15 years of my life, pretty much. So they would watch. We were a big comedy family. Like they loved In Living Color. They loved SNL. They loved everybody. So I think the first sketch I've ever seen was Chopping Broccoli. And I think it was like on a best of. I don't even think it was like an actual episode, but it was like Chopping Broccoli. And I remember they were dying laughing, and I could not figure out what was funny about it. I was a little kid, and ever since then I kind of wanted to watch it because they loved it so much, and I just wanted to be older, so I wanted to kind of get it. But I think when I first started to really, really like it was like the I say like Tracy. Well, no. The Norm years. The Norm years with
and
like
Farrell,
and Farrell,
and Tracy, and
Well, maybe even like before Tracy.
Yeah, you're right. On that too, I think, which was still maybe the end of Sandler, Farley,
94?
right?
Yeah.
Meadows, Hartman's probably gone, something like that. But
that's when
era.
I started to like really get into it.
And that show, which everybody likes, you found out when you read it later, all those guys were always on the brink.
Well, that's the crazy thing. Like I had like I had to accept something at the Critics Awards for the show. I did not win an award. But I was there with, it was all critics, and I was like, I remember reading the reviews of that era, and that was like the headlines that were like Saturday Night Dead. Yeah. Like, this is the worst it's ever been in history. And then you look at the cast, and it's Sandler, Rock, Farley, Spade, Tim Meadows, and you're like, that's an amazing. I mean, that's one of the best cast. I mean, still like even Hartman and Dana Carvey. You're like, how is that not the best? And this was getting the headlines, worst cast. The show's over. So that makes you feel better because that's like our heroes,
right?
And then, like you said, it does sometimes take years. But was anybody thinking, Sandler is going to turn around and be the biggest, one of the biggest comedy stars?
Well, probably NBC wasn't thinking.
Yeah, NBC wasn't thinking that at all, right?
No, but also, by the way, that's again, it's probably a thing that then motivated him to be like, you know what, like, fuck you guys, we're gonna figure this out. I don't know if I can say that. But.
Oh, you can.
Yeah, I was gonna say you can say fuck this whole time.
Yeah,
we've been saving it up.
I mean, not over and over, but yeah,
I'm
you
just
can.
sitting on like a fuck bubble in my stomach. Like, I can't wait to get out of here so I can say fuck. I didn't know that you could just say it.
Yeah,
you were gonna yell it when you got outside.
I was just gonna scream it in the elevator.
Remember the pitch that you got where you could be uncensored?
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Ask all the questions again. Start it over.
I just also want to bring this up. The fact that you know Lorne and see him on a regular basis is almost kind of odd because he's a guy that's moved into myth right now. It's almost like the idea of Lorne more than I think Hugh Hefner had that kind of vibe, but it's very rare that people have been elevated the way Lorne has.
I totally agree with that. It's very strange, but he's like a dude that loves comedy. Like, at the end of the day, it's that's what makes it so cool. It's like there is that mystique about him, and we all see it in starting there. But he's like a dude that loves comedy. He's a dude that loves talent, and he makes this like he loves this show. So it makes you want to love the show. So it is kind of weird.
When I saw him the other day, I was like, how's it going, Lorne? He's like, me? I'm doing great. He's like, my legacy's pretty much fine.
Yeah.
He's like, how about you? Are you okay?
Yeah, he's right. He's right. He's cemented it.
Like, he knows that he's Lorne.
Yeah.
And he'll let you know that he knows that he's Lorne. But it's also kind of, he's also just like some dude that loves comedy, which is kind of dope.
But he was able to ride this thing about 10 times longer than anyone was supposed to.
Yeah, I mean, 10 times longer than I think he thought he would ever do it. I mean, I think he thought after the first 5 years, like, yeah, we did it. I'm good. And then I think he really just missed it when that's why he came back. I think he's like, this is a thing that I really love doing and I'm good at doing. Like, why not continue to do this and find a new way of doing it, like a new group? And it keeps him so young. It's like he's bringing in new people, new ideas, and working every day, like going to work every day. You see him versus some of his peers, and he's so much sharper and healthier because he's got young people around that he's like, taking their blood and drinking it.
But it is true. That all happened with stand-ups, too. Like, you find out, like, when Joan Rivers was doing one-nighters after one-nighters, and then when she died, they said she had $150 million. Like, you're kidding me.
Wow.
You know what I mean? She's playing Indian casinos on a Tuesday,
That's from selling all that glass jewelry.
Yeah. She did move a lot of that stuff, too.
I think the hardest thing in the world, in show business, I'll say, is is being consistently funny. So it's like to have a comedy show on for over 40 years is just insanity. Like any other show that lost Will Ferrell or lost Tina Fey or lost Eddie Murphy or lost, John Belushi, whoever, it would be done as soon as their funniest person was off of it, and to be able to replenish that 10, 12 different times.
It's the Yankees. It's the Yankees at the end of the day.
It's amazing. With comedy, it's amazing. It's not as cut and dry as baseball even. It's so hard to do. So it's kind of weird to watch.
There's also I think the instinct that's kept it alive too is the instinct to go new, which is good. Like I think so many people, it's amazing that agents pitch people to come on the show, like to be cast members, and they'll say, "Oh, it's the next Will Ferrell, or it's the next Kristen Wiig, it's the next Amy Poehler," and the reality is you don't want the next version of those people. You want the new Kate McKinnon, or you want the person that you haven't seen that's going to come out and do it in a whole different way. So it's people think in those terms. I think Hollywood tends to get in those terms of like, it's this meets this, but the reality is you want someone that surprises you.
Yeah. People that would say that wouldn't cast Leslie. And they'd be way off. You know what I mean? So that's kind of what's dope about the show is that we can see it like, oh yeah, that one, and then she's gonna do what hasn't been done on the show.
Right.
But it's really hard to get people to understand something that they've never seen before.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So they're going, but that's untested. Leslie will not work because she doesn't fit any mold that we have.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It's like it's really one of the best stories ever. Like that that she started in stand up with Chris Rock. She was a garbage woman the day before. Never been on a stage. Hit by Lorne's car, and then he had to put her on for blackmail.
It's a beautiful story.
It's a beautiful story.
It's actually a movie I want to see now. I really think you guys could write this up.
Maybe Trading Places. Yeah, I don't know, but it is. It's you take risks. I mean, Lorne still does take risks, and even sometimes there's things he does that I'm like, wow, I don't know about that, and it works out. Like he's got a good track record.
I think one of the most amazing things about going to see SNL live is all those moving pieces, right up to the last second, they're bringing sketches out. It's like the most show business thing that we have. It's so old school, Sid Caesar in that.
It's
field.
everything together. It's like theater, like New York theater plus like old school television. It's done in an old radio broadcast, where Toscanini had his orchestra into the radio. I mean, it's so old school showbiz in a great way.
And when you're working and you're going back and forth and there's celebrities just hanging around and you're just like, you don't care. I remember one time, I think Solange was musical guest, and like Jay-Z and Beyonce is just like standing in the doorway, like in the hallway, and I'm trying to get to cue cards. I got like 2 minutes to read the jokes before, and I'm like, could you guys move? And I'm like, it's like, no, and it's like, as I'm walking, I'm like, did I just tell Beyonce and Jay-Z to move? But they move, because they're like, oh, yeah. And you're like, did I just tell them to move? Like, was I rude to Beyonce? And
it would be really great if you became an enemy after that, that they set up to ruin you.
And we have a beef now. Yeah. No, it's such a weird thing.
Like Robert Kraft from the Patriots was in the studio. The white JC was in the. He was in the studio, and I was about to. It was like Deflategate stuff with the Patriots, and my first joke was about the Patriots, and it was like. And he was lit. He was the only person I could see.
Yeah.
I looked up and I was just like, "Oh shit!" And then you no choice. It's like, and we're going, and you're like, "Hey!" And then you're like looking out of the corner of your eye.
Yeah.
You're like, "Don't cry."
That's something that's weird too. That happens all the time. Like you'll just be about to go on, and then you'll just look, and it's like, "Oh shit, that's Steph Curry," and he's just watching you like. I wasn't.
And then suddenly you're thinking, "Is this what Steph Curry finds funny?" I want to make him laugh.
That is it's the weirdest job in the world, isn't it?
It's strange.
It is really, really strange.
The live part of it is really strange because every other show, basically, if there's some weird screw up, you can edit it, or you can, and being truly live and just reading things as they like cue cards as they come is like a very thrilling experience, but also kind of terrifying.
Well, you had a story where you needed to cut time out of a sketch and you had to like cover it.
I had to literally physically put my hands over part of cue cards so they wouldn't read it, so that we would pick up, so that it wouldn't like just go to black in the middle of a sketch. Yeah. Like just you have things like that at the end of the show sometimes because it's live and there's no way of fudging it.
Yeah, like if you write a sketch and they need time of the show, like sometimes like your sketch might be 3 minutes, 30 seconds, and they're like, we need a minute out of it. We need to be 2 minutes and 30 seconds or whatever. And you have to like go in the control room and then you have to go to cue cards and you have to make sure that the lines are out just to make. So sometimes if you're watching the show and you'll see a sketch and you're like, well, that ended weird. It's like, yeah, because we had to cut a minute out of it 5 minutes before it went on. It happens a lot, but like that's another thing that the reviewers don't mention. They don't know that. You know what I mean? They just, you're not, so it's harder to, that's another reason why it's weird to read reviews about the show because they don't know a lot about the show.
Right.
But it's not just you guys feeling the pressure. That entire crew feels that pressure.
Yep.
I mean, you'll see those sketches come together 2 seconds before it's on air. Yeah. And those cue cards, that can't be an easy thing to sit there and know somebody's, because both of you guys have different reflections. Rhythm.
And you also have a host who's not used to the show.
Yeah.
And might not be used to the changes as quickly, so it's a lot of moving parts.
Dude, I always have this theory, and I never tested it, but sometimes I think people that are the furthest away from comedy make some of the best hosts. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of time there's a funny person, maybe we expect them to be so funny, but there's that, I remember the first time Barkley came on. Yeah. You guys have had him on, 4 times now?
Yeah.
I'm like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Just because he came from a whole different angle.
I have a theory about that as well. I feel like a lot of comedians, when you do when you do comedy for a long enough time where you're able to host a show like SNL where you've been that successful, you kind of know what works for you, and you have a process. Like every comedian kind of has a formula because you know what makes you funny, and a lot of times it's hard to just say, you know what, you write it, I'll say it as a comedian, because you don't trust as much. You kind of trust your opinion more so than you'll just trust the show and the process of the show. So it's a little bit harder with comedians because they're already kind of sure as to what they find funny.
Oh, that's interesting.
With someone that doesn't do comedy, they're like, just tell me what to say. I'll say it. I just don't want to mess up.
Right.
So it's a little bit easier that we could kind of just do what's funny or make what's funny, and they'll just deliver it because they don't have any choice. You know what I mean? So it's a little bit easier.
Yeah, if they're a good performer too, like they're a straight actor, they're going to give you a great performance.
Right.
So if you can figure out how to just write something funny, they're going to really commit and do it well.
It's kind of that Leslie Nielsen kind of theory of comedy where you just play it straight down the middle and we'll write what's funny, and the straighter you play it, the funnier it'll be.
Yeah.
Do hosts come in? Could you tell pretty quickly of a guy who's like, he's not going to get the rhythm of what we're doing here? Can you?
Or she can be terrible at it too.
I need to be woke. That's me. I'm still getting woke.
It's the 90s, Ron.
Yeah. Hammer time.
It's hard to tell. I've been wrong a lot. Like I've seen some like on a Wednesday reading, I'm like, oh, this is gonna be rough, and then Saturday it just comes together right when it's supposed to. That's kind of the magic of the show. And sometimes it's the opposite. Sometimes it's great up until it's not, and then you're like, well, that's rough. But you have one the next week, so it's like.
Well, and some people are good. Some people are good at reading, cold reading, or reading screen. Or you're reading 40 or 50 scripts. So some people are really good at that, and others are really bad. But they're great performers when they finally get, or
once
some
they're locked in.
Yeah, some people are great actors and they're sort of just marking their lines or going through it, but they're going to go through a whole other process before they really do it on air.
Is that another Lorne job? Is that something that Lorne is like?
He has to. That is one of his jobs. Is really to sense what kind of person that person is, and to know and anticipate. Oh, this is not where it's at, but it's going to get there. Or if Melissa McCarthy's hosting, there's certain things that she maybe writes. And she knows what they are, and when you're just seeing them on a page, you don't quite know what it is yet.
Right.
But he trusts her to know and have a whole performance element that's not there at the table read, and then that sketch ends up killing.
Yep.
So what happens after? What happens after Lorne steps down? Is there an heir apparent? Is there somebody that can do this, or? Did
I
we
don't know.
Does this fade away and we just end this thing?
Finally just end this thing.
We all rest.
We finally have a Saturday where we just sleep.
No, I honestly can't think of a world where Lorne's not doing SNL. Like, it just doesn't. I can't even fathom. I really don't know what would happen.
Yeah, I don't know.
Whether I'm on there or not, I don't know.
Yeah, there's no plan. There's no, he's keeping it on. Yeah.
There's
None
no,
of
I
us
just
have
can't
any plans for life
Yeah.
if he's not here.
Do you guys let yourself think post SNL career? Do you think what you'd want to do next, or is that too?
I'd like to meet my kids.
Well, they're here today.
It's a sneak up show.
Hey, you guys are fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. That was awesome.
Their show comes on Saturday nights, 11:30 in the East. Michael Che, Colin Jost. So good, guys. So much fun. Thank you, guys. I appreciate that.
That
Thank
wasn't for you.
Oh, it wasn't?
That was for Colin Jost and Michael Che.
Do you know what a woman said to me, and as a woman that I never met who came through CRM after I did that? She said to me, she's an older woman, she goes, "You should be on that show with them. The three of you have great chemistry
That
together."
is so cute.
And I know.
Doesn't that remind you of like when your mom or like grandmother just says like, "Why don't you do that?"
And I was just I was thinking that maybe when they left, they would just turn around and look at me and go, "What are you doing, man? Come on. Come on." It's so fun to do that show with that audience. I mean, to be able to do this at Sirius and just see that the whole audience had a good time. And we've got another one on early Monday morning.
That's with Blake Anderson, Adam Devine, and Andrew Holmes. That's happening Monday, March 19th, 9:30 a.m. here at the SiriusXM studios. Go to theinterrobang.com for a chance at free tickets.
They have got a big budget movie that they're doing with Netflix. I watched it the other night. I couldn't believe, like, it looks like a big budget action film. You know what I mean? There's all kinds of stunt work and explosions and running around. I was shocked by it. And then Seth Rogen is like a producer on it.
Yeah. Yeah, he is.
He sees them as the new Seth Rogens, huh?
Yeah, he loves them.
Okay. Great having that repartee, me and you. Go ahead, read. I know you want to read.
Well, also want to let everyone know Tammy Pescatelli's taping her special tonight. Tammy Pescatelli's way after school special. That's at Perry High School in Perry, Ohio. Pescatelli.com for tickets.
All right. That's it for us. We will see you again in 1974.
Ladies and gentlemen, the evening is over. We hope you all enjoyed yourselves, and we'll see you all again in 1974. Good evening!